All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the EPL playoffs. Jerimuno versus Optimus Prime, Team SKG, Somali Kabuli Gaming versus NN, the Nilla Ninjas. Let's get into this. Looks like Optimus has arrived, and currently the players have British and Spain selected, but those are the ones they entered the lobby with, so I'm sure we will see some changes, although Jerimuno's saying Brit-Spain fine. Maybe we will see it, right? Joined by, of course, the Coke Man himself.
Yeah.
That makes you sound like a
dealer.
Yeah, maybe it's not the best.
No. But Jerimuno actually changed. Optimus stayed as Spain when he came in, which, I mean, his home city is called No Rush, which is quite funny, as he was 20 minutes late, so he's obviously just playing No Rush 20 in real time.
Yeah, he made the city just now as a joke. I'm sure that's what he did.
I have no clue what knee is, but Optimus sort of known for there's a Britmare, but he's, as I was saying, Optimus sort of known for unconventional play. So hopefully we see a bit of that. Maybe he's a bit like a mini AoE3, but so much.
Oh, that's very fitting to be on the Nilla Ninjas, headed by the AZAMP man himself, Cowhack's in the chat. Russian Mirror coming out. Jerimuno doesn't want that. Looks like he'll play the Sioux. And Optimus just going for the mirror with each pick here. So, looks like just offering mirrors. Jerimuno now, Yumi W clan, I'm sure. Oh, even going to mirror it versus Jerimuno. This man wants a mirror.
Oh my god, my boat. It's going to flip with the same, 6-7 civs constantly. But I think Optimus plays quite a lot of civs. I mean, he plays a lot of team as well. In team, you tend to play sort of varied amount of civs, so he's not going to shy away from stuff like India or Japan or anything like that. Even if Jerimuno is sort of known for Japan, obviously being in that Yumi W clan.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ottoman coming out. That Jerimuno, I think his allegiances will first and foremost be to the Yumi W clan, and then second the Nilla Ninjas. But the point is, taking on Jerimuno in a Japanese mirror, which is what he offered, is quite ballsy. Don't know if Jerimuno necessarily wants to play Japan there. Perhaps he wants to save Japan for later on in the series, but I feel like Jerimuno would be quite confident clicking into a Japanese mirror, but he is not going to do that. They've both changed to Ottoman, and it now seems that Optimus putting the double dots in the chat. Bit of, I believe, German as well.
Oh,
can you read any of that? There's the word mirrors.
No, I'm not German. Jerimuno is Austrian, so you can read.
I think Jerimuno's scolding him on being 20 minutes late. I see the word 20 min in there. And now we're spending 5 minutes picking civs. I think is what he's saying. There's a few easy words in German, like picking.
I know, absolutely not. I know stool is the same, I think, as the thing you sit on, and that's the only German I know.
Wasser überall.
Oh, and Übermenschen, which means lesser man, I guess. But that's the only German I know. But Ottoman Mir, we might see, I guess.
Yeah, I think the thing to take away from this is that Optimus is gunning for a mirror matchup, and he doesn't really care what mirror matchup or what civ it is. He's just looking to play a mirror. Do you think this is a sign that he feels that he's the mechanically stronger player? Seems like what he's going for.
Maybe so, yeah. Maybe he thinks he's mechanically stronger. I'm not entirely sure, because Optimus, I know he's a good player, obviously, but I don't think he has the best micro of all players. And I mean, Jerimuno is obviously an incredibly strong player himself. So I wouldn't say Optimus has a better is better mechanically. I think he's just more suited. In the first match, you tend just to pick mirrors because you want to get a fair matchup, and it's quite hard to actually have a fair matchup if one player basically counterpicks the other.
Right. So just to have the fairest possible matchup, looking for a mirror. I mean, you can. There are a number of matchups that would be fair, but I suppose if you start on equal footing in a mirror, you both no longer have that civilization, and everything just plays out, perhaps, in a series like this, a bit more predictably, which is what you want as a player. But Optimus, The dot dot dot's coming out there. You know, I feel that Jerimuno's perfectly entitled to keep changing.
What?
Okay.
Knights of St. John.
Yeah, I don't think he's allowed to play that Civ, but I also don't think it.
I want to say it. I mean,
It doesn't do that one doesn't load. I'm afraid it doesn't have a home. If you right click it and try to look at the home city, it doesn't actually have one. So when you start the game, it doesn't actually work. But there are civs. I think you can play it on the. I'm not greening into that. It won't actually load. Plus, even if it did work, you wouldn't be allowed to play it. But I'm pretty sure it's a terrible civ, so it doesn't matter either way.
Actually, I think America is terrible as well, isn't it? If you can play it, you don't have any starting codes.
Yeah, you have no explorer and one crate, which is the random crate that everyone gets on addition to their starting crates. So it is quite bad. But it looks like we have found a matchup.
Yeah, France versus Russia.
All right, shall we get started and see how this matchup unfolds? Ladies and gentlemen, we are now getting into this game number 1 in a play all 7 series between Jerimuno representing the SKG and Optimus Prime playing for the Nilla Ninjas. The first map will be Arkansas. The players were looking for a mirror, or at least Optimus Prime was, but in the end going to settle for French versus Russia. Doesn't look like Jerimuno wants to play the mirror, but they have found a matchup that they agree on. And this one, if I'm ever playing it, I always feel pretty afraid of the Russian side, but equally, when you're playing as Russia, those CDBs are very, very frightening, very hard to kill. So I think this is a fairly even matchup, especially with the presence of a trading post. If this was, a non-TP map, I might have to give it to Russia, but not going to go for the mirror, but ultimately are finding a matchup that they're sort of in agreement with. Here we have Optimus Prime in the left-hand side of the map in the color red, playing as indeed the Russians, picking up all of his crates, including the gold, as well as 50 gold on the floor there. So quite a lot of gold. We'll see sort of what he has in mind there. Perhaps he wants to build a market if he's going through all the effort to pick it all up. Although I don't suspect... there it is. Okay, going to go for the market. That's an interesting thing to note coming out of Russia here. Looks like, though, Jerimuno will zone him away from the 80 food treasure. And perhaps go for that himself. The native scout now coming over to help get into a bit of a brawl. But yes, native scout, that means he is playing the French. Jerimuno on the right-hand side of the map here in the color blue, gathering some wood as we speak on the trees, looking to also get a market, it would seem. But yes, I am joined by the Coke Man I called you earlier. I think I ought to stick to that. I quite like calling you the Coke Man. It sounds sounds hilarious.
I could be a dealer. Yeah. I'll be like a shady dealer of ESOC. But Jerimuno picked up 80 food, which is nice. I mean, they were both sort of pondering around that area, but thankfully Optimus sort of went away and walked away, and is now going to pick up the Tomahawk himself. If the Tomahawk treasure is actually quite big, because if France gets it, they can easily deny the blockhouse, which is sort of game changing completely. So obviously Russia is the one which tends to be the one who dictates the playstyle of the matchup. But he's going to get that Tomahawk, so he's going to be fine to put the blockhouse down. And same time, 40 food for Jerimuno. So both players getting treasures at the same time.
Both players getting treasures at the same time. And yes, as you said, Russia picking up the Tomahawk there. Usually something they sort of want to watch out for. But this map actually does have a number of Tomahawks. There's one here. And indeed other treasure guardians on the map, or settlers, or units in general. There's a settler. So lots of units to pick up. We'll have to watch out and see if sort of any more come out there. 60 food up in the top. Optimus Prime is about to find. And he's got his Tomahawk there to help him. Here is a medicine man. Although he looks a lot like a woman with that skirt on in the rock. But it's 2019.
The picture of the medicine man's always confused me.
Yeah. Oh, no, CDB as well. This map has just got a very large number of guardians on it.
It does, but you can only really scout one area at the start, especially if you're Russia and you want to. You only have one explorer, but he has a Tomahawk now, so you can scout a bit more. But the top sort of area never really gets scouted until later in the game. If you look into the Fog of War mode, that CDB treasure hasn't been scouted at all. The Tomahawk treasure has been scouted, and I believe Jerimuno's probably going to go down and get it. It's quite easy to get. You just snipe the pilot, and then you go into hand-to-hand combat with that outlaw pistolero.
Yeah, at the moment he's sort of mid-map. His opponent's not here. I feel like he's just sort of looking for him, sort of looking for forward villagers, and the scout up the top can keep tabs on the explorer there, who is now going for that CDB treasure with the help of the Tomahawk. Quite low HP, that Russian explorer, so I don't think he's going to be able to easily get this. But he does have a bit of time whilst he's aging up. There's not too much going on, so he can sort of focus his actions into taking this treasure, using that Tomahawk to tank a little bit. Although I imagine once this Guardian goes down, yeah, he's going to reset the Guardians down. Just be very careful with his hit points. But looking to get a CDB by the looks of it before he gets to the next age. Nice little eco boost. But currently all villagers on wood, and none have gone forward yet to build a blockhouse. He spent a lot of wood and time and resources on that market in Age 1. He got his hunting dogs, which is nice, but ultimately this is delaying a blockhouse, which he's, by the looks of it, not looking to place forward unless these villagers now walking out are going to go and do that. But they're going to be quite late getting there. He didn't have villagers in position to start building it the moment he got the 250 wood. It's going to be a sort of slower blockhouse. Jerimuno, on the other hand, Riot, appears to have gotten his trading post in transition, although he never did make that market. He did, pardon me. It's just a bit further out than usual, perhaps, there. He got his hunting dogs and indeed has gotten place and mines as well. And he's now up to the next stage. But what I find interesting is he's placed that trading post quite close to his opponent.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a socket you don't really expect. You ever expect the one closest to you, the one near the market, or the middle one? That far away one, maybe Jerimuno it buys a bit of time, actually, because obviously Optimus might just go and siege it anyway, and he's going to expect the trading post closest to that market. And I mean, it might work out. It might just be completely horrible, and it might get sieged down instantaneously because it's quite hard to defend.
Yeah, that's quite funny. Maybe he marches his muskets and whatever over to the socket here that you're mentioning, and he goes, "Oh, where is it? God damn!" And then he can't find it. And yeah, it takes him longer to kill it than usual, as he doesn't perhaps know, or it's not exactly where he's expecting it to be. Yeah, maybe. Interesting. And another villager to Russia here. This is if we click the recalculator button. He's actually in, he's just gotten his 3 villagers in that were training, so 21 to 23. I mean, France still ahead, but he's had to ship an entire 4 CDB shipment into it.
Yeah, which is basically 5 villagers, so... and Russia's sending 700 coins, so he hasn't sent anything like 5 Cossacks, as you could expect. And, I mean, the scout says scouting the forward blockhouse, as to be sort of expected. But there's a stable in base. We didn't expect this. I mean, normally you'd just... you'd go just with a normal 5 Cossack, 5 Musketeer sort of push into France. But at the same time, if he gets 5 Cossacks out and a batch of 5 Cossacks, 10 Cossacks versus these Hussars trade incredibly nicely.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good point. This looks like a slightly sort of... I'm quite excited to see this. We've been seeing a lot of Russia recently. I think particularly Maito has pointed out how one sort of dimensional it is, and it doesn't really play out very differently. But today, Jerimuno actually doing something a bit different. 700 gold to fuel Cossack production and indeed Musketeer production. The first batch of 5 musks has gone for that trading post. He does know where it is actually. But yeah, I think we're about to see... Look at this. He's sort of baiting those Hussars in against his 3 Cossacks. He's got some Musketeers nearby. And it looks like those Hussars, they sort of are being a little bit wary. They're going to try and take the 3 Cossacks before the muskets get involved. But it doesn't want to actually fight them. But is he going to get himself trapped in the corner? No, he does manage to get away.
These deer might slow them down, so we're going to get a couple of shots off from the Musketeers, but I think Jerimuno played that well. He got basically 2 Cossacks, and there's another batch of 3 Cossacks.
I think that's what Optimus Prime was trying to do. Do you think? He was sort of just trying to keep those Hussars interested so that the next batch could appear and then sort of catch them off guard and you know, take them all out here. He's going to catch 2 of them, though.
Yeah, that's not too bad. He's going to get picked 2 up, but he does know there's CDBs here, so... Oh, we might get away. No, he's going to get caught. But again, I mean, France is going to age up really quite easily. And do you really want to be age 2 Russia against age 3 France when France's eco hasn't been damaged in the slightest? And at the same time, your eco hasn't been too great. I mean, he does find the trading post, thankfully, at the bottom left. And he's going to siege that down with his Musketeer mass. But France can just age. And if he gets something like Dragoons or Skirmishers out at the same time, he's good. Oh! That's big.
Yeah, that's really, really nice.
He gets a nice pickup for these villagers going over to get the blockhouse down.
Yeah,
He
he's
might
going to
just
get one
only
of
get
them. Oh, he's not going to get any of them. They've got great coats, so a bit of extra HP. Ultimately, a little bit annoying, but does manage to fend off those units and will construct that blockhouse overall. You know, you're saying that France can age easily, and yes, they can, and I'm sure we'll see that very soon. Well, he's aging right now, actually, going up with the Exiled Prince, and will make it to the Fortress Age very, very quickly. Has sort of 1 2/3 a shipment already, so France going to have a lot of stuff coming. But I just want to point out the economies are quite even, and Russia did get steel traps, now getting placer mines, so he's got these good upgrades. He's killed his opponent's trading post. Russia scales better, as we know, because their villagers sort of train more quickly. So, you know, I'm looking like Optimus. Yeah, he didn't damage the French eco, but he's got a great eco himself, considering he hasn't really invested any villager shipments into it. And I suspect he can follow France up to the next stage. There's 700 food on the floor right now, and I think he might be using that to help him get up. Although villagers are going to be found here. Meanwhile, though, Jerimuno is up to the next stage. Optimus Prime sees that and is coming in with some units to try and do some punishing right now. You know, I feel like Russia might be in a good spot.
Definitely. I mean, he's forced to put Minutemen here, and those skirmishes at the back need to be quite careful. Thankfully, Dragoons do pop out from the 5 Dragoon shipment in a nice position, in a nice timing. But again, look how many Musketeers are here. If he can take out these Cossacks, he'll be in a good position. But he needs to take them out before they can get on the skirmishes at all. There's no Dragoons in queue. Although that TC file go down on the Cossacks, I mean, they sort of be demolished here. And the Russian Musketeers can't stay there. Although there are Strelets coming in. And Strelets, even though they have less range than the skirmishers, they don't fare too badly because they have extra speed, 4.5 speed instead of 4.
Yeah.
But
it's
nicely
actually,
defended from Jerimuno.
Overall, I'm not too impressed with that fight. I think Jerimuno actually did very, very well there. It looks like Optimus has lost 11 Cossacks overall and 4 Musketeers up against, you know, only 2 Goons and 2 Hussars. That was all the French player has lost all game, as well as 2 Minutemen. But, you know, they were free. Well, not really, but, you know, has not lost very much in comparison. So, fight didn't go that well. Jerimuno finds himself, you know, completely fine in the Fortress Age, wasn't punished very much, and is now going to start sending those shipments. Russia does have a stronger eco, but only by a little bit. So it looked like Jerimuno was in a great spot, but now Optimus... pardon me, it looked like Optimus was in a great spot, but now Jerimuno starting to, you know, with that age up, we're going to see those techie units. Could be a bit challenging.
Saying that, he does have a better eco, but that trading post is bringing in the shipments fast. And so, like 2 Falconets here. It's going to be incredibly nice. Look at the skirmisher mash. Math. I can't say the word.
Do you like cheesy skirmisher mash, or do you prefer, you know, just like healthier one without butter and stuff?
I'm more of a what's the weird one you can make? You can make a pop and squeak or something where you put like carrots and whatever.
Oh, that's bubble and squeak. Yeah.
Bubble and squeak. There you go. Yeah, I'm more that sort of.
You put veggies in your mash.
Yeah, I mean it's good because it's leftovers. It's perfect for being a student, isn't it?
Oh, that is true. That is true. Cossacks coming in though, and this looks like I keep saying, oh, now this player's in the lead. Oh, that player's in the lead. Oh no, this player's in the lead. Lots of Dragoons gonna. Oh, but the Falconets, they're going to get sniped. The Dragoons rushing off to defend them, but they're not popping out in the best position. I think actually the Falconets will stay alive, but they've lost over half of their HP on both. So those Cossacks getting some work done there, but there are no Cossacks left, so it would be quite expensive. Oh, look at these volleys. They may be weak, these cannons, but they can still pump out some balls. Wow, that does not sound...
That doesn't sound right. But again, we can just push forward here. I mean, there's only Musketeers here. One thing to look at as well is Optimus has left this blockhouse at the top right here, basically wasting 200 wood. I mean, Jerimuno's, but he's...
Oh,
BM there, but
just feel a bit
he's
sad
finally
for him
building the
now.
blockhouse as well.
He says, my micro was bad, but yours was even worse. And how did that... Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, 3 Cuirassiers coming out here, and Musketeers against Cuirassiers are quite funny, even though we're meant to counter them, they're just dreadful versus them. So, I mean, there's going to be an extra shot from the 2 Falconets here. There's not a huge amount of Cossacks in there, and there's a massive amount of Dragoons compared to the Cossack mass. He's just going to get pushed off everything here. the hunt's there. He's going to lose probably his position from the blockhouse. And honestly, that blockhouse placement's a bit old in my opinion. It's protecting the hunt, obviously, but if this was 2 blockhouses next to each other, he could fight under it so much easier.
Yeah, you'd have a bit of extra protection there. I guess he's sort of favouring further placement for more coverage, but here it's not too good. Cossacks coming in. They are on top of the Dragoons, getting some damage done, and is going to be able to finish off those Falconets, not before one final volley comes in. But Cossacks won't last long against Dragoons. But that being said, they are taking a lot of melee damage, and Dragoons aren't, supposed to be doing that, really. They want to be sitting in the back lines, so not ideal for him. And now the Musketeers find themselves up in the face of the skirmishers. So it just seems Optimus Prime. What a great outcome for him, using units that aren't actually, and getting the, I thought that was the snare for a moment. That was a real fast melee attack. Doesn't matter though. Has Cossacks, they're doing the same thing, slowing those skirms down, keeping those Musketeers in range, and ultimately winning a fight by the looks of it with units that are countered by him.
Yeah, I mean, that snare, Muskas being strong. I mean, there's 4 Cossacks even coming in now, so he has a bigger army, a bigger eco, and honestly, I think Optimus is in an incredibly nice position here. 7 skirmishers coming out, which is also quite nice. But without that Falconet pressure, the Russian army is really quite strong against anything France has at this point.
I actually really like what Optimus has done here. This sort of eco-heavy, shall we call it, sort of Russia build. How many vills did he go up with? I think still 14.
17.
That makes more sense, yeah. 17 makes a lot more sense, because getting that market is going to slow you down a lot. Yeah, just a bit more sort of eco-heavy. I haven't seen the 17 settler age up, it feels like, in a long time.
14 is the meta, isn't it?
It is at the moment, for sure. I think maybe that it's not been seen for a long time, but it's still out there. You can still age up with 17 villages and get a market and be more eco-focused and stuff. And Optimus Prime really making it work. And now that second blockhouse doesn't look so silly after all, does it? It's covering food and resources and giving map control in quite nicely.
Yeah, and at the same time, Jerimuno is now massing cuirassiers, but I mean, he's getting a huge amount of cuirassiers against his musketeer mass, and is Optimus is not actually aging. What is he doing? He's just getting more musk and basically musk cast, isn't he? And at the same time, Jerimuno massing cuirassiers, but cuirassiers against his composition. If it was Strelitz, it would have been huge. 13 Strelitz coming in, as I say that, but he's just going to push. He has the bigger army, and honestly, the better composition.
Yeah, he's got which one?
Jerimuno's got the better composition, but
yeah,
he's got a smaller army.
Maybe his army's just very small. Yeah, four Carreras, 7 goons, 10 skirms. It doesn't seem like much of a match for 39 muskets, 14 strelets, and 13.
Yeah, they are Discovery Age muskets, aren't they? So sort of
Discovery
useless.
Age muskets.
So,
yeah, they might as well be, actually. They are actually Discovery Age muskets.
But
if a normal musket is a Colonial Age musket, these kind of are like, 20% worse Discovery Age. I've never heard it described like that, but yes.
But yeah, number 5 cuirassiers coming out, and to be honest, he could probably push into this. The cuirassiers just mince everything he has, and look at the damage they do. I mean, the musketeers are so useless against the cuirassiers, even though they should be decent, they're just not. And he's just going to push in it.
Yeah,
but imagine if that 1,000 coin was cavalry combat.
It would have been a little better, although I don't feel like he had enough cavalry or enough units in general to sort of take a fight. I'd like to have seen him wait a bit longer, use that coin to mass up perhaps. But ultimately, musketeers, they still do have those multipliers in hand combat. And yeah, they may be more effective against Ruskets than others, but musketeers still able to counter cavalry reasonably effective there, though I think it has more to do with there being, very few numbers. This does not look good for Jerimuno. Cossacks on top of those skirmishes now, and having to tank with these CDBs, getting them involved. I mean, they will soak up a lot of hit points, but there's nothing sort of in the back firing. Oh! Although... 5, yeah.
Although they're not on top of anything. There wasn't anything under that stable. If those units were under the stable, it would be much nicer. And he's going to lose the rest of his skirms. There are skirms in queue though, but he's not collecting anything, so there's only going to be 2 coming out. He might get a shipment out, but what has he got left? He's only got he hasn't got any shipments left unless he sends something through Huss or 8 crossbow, which you don't want to be sending at this point. And that's just a huge mess. I mean, what are 3 quiz going to do? These skirmishers can try and kite, but there's still the Cossacks at the back here. And honestly, this is just over 8 expo coming out. That's
He's just chucking he's just chucking everything at it. But Jerimuno does resign.
Yeah. Ever well played as a victor, as a I don't know if it's BM or not, but it's not normal. But just look at the military units, count wise. Optimus had 206 units, while Jerimuno only had 100. Even though Jerimuno traded better, I mean, this eco heavy build might just work against France actually.
Yeah, it seems pretty good. I think ultimately it comes down to being caught under a blockhouse earlier, and his dragoons not being sort of, well, they had cav on top of them. It just, not managing to utilize that range advantage perhaps in that earlier fight. And then here I'd quite like to have seen him gathered up that 1,000 gold and made a few more cavalry, and then perhaps got cav combat or something before sort of going in. Come at him with his sort of full strength, but not the case. And Optimus does pick up the W. Let's get into game number 2, which we will see in just a moment.
Hopefully Optimus joins relatively quickly this time. I don't know who's... let me check who's picking first. Okay, so it's Nil Ninjas to pick first, which is Optimus. So at least Jerimuno, in effect, he has the same rules as the New World Championships at this point, that he gets to counterpick. So he has Ottomans plate, which is quite nice. But the map is... Do you know the map?
Yeah, next will be Arizona.
So it's a 4 TP stagecoach map, isn't it? So we might see Ottomans here, which would be quite strong. And we might see... Well, I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, Optimus picking...
Optimus picks first. So, just to clarify, it's not the New World Championship rules, but they do alternate and take turns to pick who goes first. And it just so happens that Optimus will have to pick first here. So it feels like New World Championship rules at the moment, because Optimus sort of has to pick first. He just won, which is the case there. But it's just purely coincidental.
Yeah, and I mean, whoever wins this, Jerimuno is picking first next. And there's also a Civ set as well, which is different from New World Championship rules. So, I mean, it's just waiting until Optimus picks. And he obviously can't pick Russia. Jerimuno can't pick France again. So, what do you want to see on this map? We saw Ottomans versus India on this map yesterday, didn't we? With Rafael versus Turkey.
We did see that. This is 4 TP map.
Yeah, so it's good for anyone who wants to have a stagecoach or just TP civs in general.
Yeah, so I kind of expect Ottoman here. But I wonder if we'll see...
Yeah, there's Ottoman.
There is the Ottoman. You could see Spain and Ports with these trading posts here. But I don't think we'll see that from these players. No. I think they're more Ottoman players, particularly Optimus, who's already selected it, as we can see.
Although Spain versus Ottoman actually isn't a bad matchup for Spain. I think it's about 50-50. At least B winner seems to think it's 50-50 on his, or even Spain favoured. I can't entirely recall on his Ottoman guide. So maybe Jerimuno picks Spain, but I don't think he actually even plays Spain. I mean, the only person who really plays Spain is Hazard, and Hazard's not playing in the playoffs.
Hazard consistently says they're terrible as well. So the only Spain player's like, nah, this Civ is garbage.
Well, they are just dreadful, aren't they, compared to every other Civ?
Yeah, I mean, they need some more oomph. Oh, I'm so sad. Spain is a sad thing.
Really good on vanilla, at least, but nobody serious plays vanilla, so that's sort of
stop acknowledging that vanilla exists. Like you're just encouraging the plebs.
I went back on my old account the other day, and apparently I was above first lieutenant in like 2010. on vanilla somehow when I was like 10. So I have absolutely no clue how like viable vanilla is nowadays.
That's hilarious. You're saying it's easy to rank up on vanilla?
So it must be because Charlish is like not Charlish. It's Charlish, yeah. He's PR 26 on TAD and like Brigadier or something ridiculous on vanilla. So,
I do remember it being easier to rank up on when I was first playing. I remember I got to like first lieutenant quite quickly on vanilla, but on TAD it's like it's just not the same.
Also, tier D you can get lamed a lot more, which is maybe why. I mean, like if someone plays like India or something at the lower levels, you can just do the same thing over and over again and get to first lieutenant ridiculously easily because you just see rush, and then people can't do anything against it because they're brain dead. So, I mean, saying that, I'm not much better, so it probably works against me. But
you know, that's most people. Well, I'm not saying most people are brain dead, but I'm saying that like there's actually only like 5% of our audience will be above that level. So, well done.
Yeah, I've just insulted a lot of people. I mean, it's okay. But Sue coming out, I mean, Sue,
and I'm one of them, by the way.
Oh, we're the same rank anyway, aren't we? So, yeah. But Sue being the counter to Ottomans, so it's not really much of a surprise. Although we saw the same matchup in Callan versus B-Winner, which Callan won the series as a whole, but B-Winner actually won both Ottoman games versus Sue. As just Jan rushing. I mean, I know what he's B-Winner does Jan rushing. I don't know what Optimus is going to do because it's Optimus and he does a bit of a funky build. But normally, the only way you can beat Sue in this matchup is if you go for like a Jan rush because Viper Riders basically just destroy your whole composition as Ottomans.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this then. Arizona will be the map. And in the bottom, in the colour blue, we do indeed have Optimus Prime. No, we don't. We have Jerimuno. I'm still feeling bad about those comments you made. Like, why would you even, like, say that?
People will forget it in, like, 10 minutes.
I'm like, offended because I feel like I'm one of the... Like,
well, to be honest, the only reason I say it is because Bramboy has just been annoying me recently. He does the same build over and over.
Oh, right. You're just saying... You're, I get it. I get you.
He's Lieutenant Colonel now as well. He's getting better. It's pretty insane. But it was a wood start, so Autumn's going to get Mosque up and going to get the TP up like normal.
Bramboy's not a Lieutenant Colonel, I promise you.
He's PR 30.
Nah.
He's one away. He's close to it.
Nah, he's beatable. Not very good against his India, but I remember the days when Bramboy was a Master Sergeant sending me and Rex saying, "Oh, how do I get better?" And then I think he did a fast fortress, and he thought like the meaning of it was to get a fortress as fast as you can. So he shipped the fort as soon as it was quite funny. Anyway, I'll have to take that up with Bramboy another time. We'll have another show match, another best of 7 or something. But yeah, perhaps I should get on with the commentary now. But I'm kind of waiting for the chat to. Most are brain dead apparently.
Yeah. That guy doesn't like me. He has a natural hate for me for some reason. Mr. June Joe guy. But anyway, 75 wood coming in for Sue. And Sue actually likes the wood nowadays because you can get the TPs up early, which is nice. But he also got a HP treasure. So his Explorer has 650 HP in Age 1, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, a lot of wood. 75. Oh, you mean HP?
Yeah, look at HP, 650 HP.
Oh, that is quite nice. But he's also getting a lot of wood. Look at that, 50 as well.
Yeah, and so he's going to get probably another 2 TPs down. Well, he has 30 coin and 10 coin in base, so I think it would have been better just to take 2 of the TPs away and get hunting dogs early, because obviously hunting dogs is 10% instead of the TPs each being 3%.
I guess the issue there is he doesn't know how many more wood treasures he's going to find, things like that. So just get the TPs and be safe. They build very, very quickly. You don't have to commit to a market, which would, require 150 wood to get hunting dogs, etc., etc. So yeah, I see what you're saying, but Jerimuno, 4 TPs, still quite nice. His opponent did get the mosque, as you mentioned. And in terms of treasures, Optimus also finding a couple of quite reasonable ones. They're 55 gold, 60 food, and indeed 50 wood as well with his slower explorer. So keeping up with the Sioux Explorer. This is, quite nice. Not
Yeah,
often
but
do you get to keep up with him.
I think that's because just Jerimuno's been taking a sort of like 3 or 4 coyote treasures, and his explorer's like 25 HP. So normally Sue's just going to dominate in Age 1, but honestly, I don't think it's really happened, has it? Optimus has got 55 coin, 50 wood, 60 food, and in comparison, Jerimuno's only really got sort of a HP treasure,
Yeah.
which doesn't have any inherent value, and also 50
What do you
wood.
mean it doesn't have any inherent value? His
Well,
Explorer would be dead right now if he didn't have it.
actually, yeah, that's true.
I know what you're saying, though. It's not like
yeah.
it's a tangible resource that you can spend or something like that. But yeah, I agree with you overall. I think Jerimuno's had not a very good Age 1. The Explorer, very low HP. The treasures he got were, well, I guess that's a lot of wood. That is the one thing he's got going for him. But not a very good Treasure Guardian. Overall, Ottoman was able to keep up with him in terms of treasures, as well as building a trading post and just having a much slower scout. So, going to give that Age 1 to Optimus Prime there. But shall we take a look at what they're up to moving into this sort of colonial age part of the game? Optimus does crack shot the wolf there. Nicely done. Built a trading post, I think, at the start of the game over here, and then has, or perhaps it was this one actually, but either way has built 2 trading posts at opposite ends from each other, and is now using his 400 wood that he got from aging up to add in the 3rd one. So we're going to have lots of trading posts on the route, which is completely what we're expecting from Ottoman. Jerimuno, though, going to build one of his own, make it a little bit more difficult for Optimus to get that stagecoach for free. But let's see then how this sort of unfolds. First shipment's going to be coming in very, very soon. Silk Road from Optimus Prime.
So the same build as who was it? Lord Raphael the other day. So maybe he's watched that. There's a treasure at the top here on the left, where it's 25% HP, but anyone can pick it up, and it's to whatever picks it up. So you can pick it up with villagers, and the villagers end up having like 5 speed, which is quite funny. So they run away like from musketeers really easily.
Yeah, I've seen that before on vanilla and stuff.
So yeah, I mean, he's gonna get down that TP probably. He's gonna get some Janissaries out and just get the TP down quickly. At the same time, as Corrala's going down, which is not what you really want in this matchup to begin with. You want a Warhut and you want Setons, because Optimus could just ridiculously easily go down with just Janissary rushing him with 2-axe, but he's not going to do that. He's got the TP line, which sort of shows that he's not doing that. But a second barracks going down in base and a market going down, so he's going to go probably for the same build as
Lord Raphael.
Yeah. But he's not as aggressive.
He's doing a fine job of it, though. Silk Road, sending the 700 wood. We'll see lots more crates, going to get stagecoach, and already has millet system on those settlers, so everything looking pretty good. He's not as aggressive, but he does have second barracks down already before perhaps Raphael did. Now coming out with the first 5 Janissaries to start sieging down this stagecoach. But maybe that's the strength of the build. It's not that you're super aggressive. It's that you have a really solid timing and a strong sort of eco behind it.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, Sue's eco is not too bad either. They have the TPs. The TPs working each one, adding 3%. So these deer in the middle here are probably affected by probably about 20%, and then you have to put 10% on the hunting dogs there. So these villagers are incredibly powerful at this point. But steel traps coming in from Optimus, sort of leveling that out. Remember, Sue doesn't have steel traps, and I mean, the eco is definitely in favor of Optimus Prime at the moment. He's got that TP line. 2 TPs is basically 8 villagers, isn't it? Especially with Visoko, there's 10 villagers. So he's ahead on eco and roughly equal on military, but these bow riders can't really contest the Janissaries.
No, they're able to do a good job against the first 5, but then the reinforcements, I guess 5 from each barracks there, did come in, and that was just a few too many for those bow riders to sort of really handle. So ultimately, Optimus Prime does get down that trading post, and is going to be able to build it himself pretty soon. Doesn't have the wood for that just yet, but has got 3 villagers on wood by the looks of it there, and could perhaps get that. Yeah, it looks like he's done that. Gotten to 100 wood by gathering and has bought the other 100 wood. Definitely worth doing, given that the stagecoach is in, and just continuing to mass Janissaries with his food economy. Basically, every villager on food. He's got steel traps there, and I imagine those trading posts are sort of toggled to coin and wood so that he can keep the Janissaries coming. But yeah, pure Jan against Jerimuno here. Quite effective against bow riders. As you mentioned, no war hut. We're not going to see any Seatam bows, and not yet anyway. And that could be an issue. Janissaries quite strong against bow riders.
He's aging with the messenger, so he's going to be up in just a couple of seconds.
Ah, I see. So that's his plan, right? He's going to get the Wakina.
Yeah, so he's probably going to send Wakinas or Rifle Rudders. I mean, I don't know which is better, probably Rifle Rudders, actually. Well, actually, no, Wakinas are better because they can kite. And there's no cavalry on the field. I'd like to see 3 households coming out now, so you can snare the Wakinas when they come out, because otherwise he's just going to get kited to death. But, yeah, I mean, the Rifle Rudders, if you can get a batch of 5 out here, be completely fine. He is going to lose a couple of bow riders here, but I don't think he really minds. He's just going to walk off. But yeah, he's now going to push back out himself on age, and he has quite a nice mass of Janissaries. But what does he do to counter these 10 rifle riders? They're just going to come up behind him. The war chief's going to snare them with that speed. And he's just going to lose a lot of Janissaries here for basically nothing. He didn't gain anything out of it. You see just 1 or 2 TPs, which at the end of the day is 100 wood. So Jerimuno's not too perplexed by it. And look, these we're just going to go in, and the rifle riders are so strong against Janissaries. It's quite hard to micro these units because they have a slight advantage because they're faster, so you can pull them back and then pull them back in again. But he doesn't want to lose too many of these, and he's losing quite a lot for what the units should basically counter.
Yeah. I mean, they're very low HP, aren't they? And he's doing a good job of focusing the rifle riders, ignoring the bow riders, which just are not as strong. Trading off a ton of Janissaries here for these sort of expensive, very sort of low HP, very high damage rifle riders. And it's done a good job of sort of taking them down. But ultimately, Optimus Prime is going to lose all of those Janissaries. But behind it, he is aging, as you were saying. I feel like he probably wanted to not lose all those gens. He'd quite like to get them back to his base here under the cover of the TC, but the trouble with that is the rifle riders are just going to shoot you, and as you run away, they've got much higher speed and I think slightly more range. I'm not sure.
No, they have 12 range, but you can micro them because you can go back and forth.
And yeah, because of the speed. So I had to take the fight out there in the open, it would seem, but ultimately does find himself in the next age. Going up with not the messenger, going up with the marksman, so going to have himself, I think, 3 Abbas guns. It's probably 4. I get confused between EP and SmackDown Patch. It is 4, it's probably 4 on both. Gonna lose a few auto-vills here, but he is now up, 4 Abbas guns out, and has called Minutemen, but they're sort of wandering off in the wrong direction. Has got his Janissaries in hand combat, trying to zone away those dog soldiers, keep his Abbas healthy. The Minutemen coming in now as well. But reinforcements from Jerimuno in the form of rifle riders sort of being used to kite back against these melee combat Janissaries. And that they're going to take down the remaining Jans sort of quite quickly. But whilst they're doing that, the Abbas in the back are able to do good damage against them.
Not like the damage from the Abbas guns is quite weak, actually. As Abbas guns don't actually counter light cavalry. They're okay against light cavalry, obviously.
Yeah, they do times 1.5, which is not as much as against.
It's not. They do 0.75 because they do 0.5 versus cavalry, and you do 1.5 times 0.5. It's 0.75 because they both have the cavalry.
Oh, that's true. Wow, that's that's a complete mess. This system, isn't it?
So, like, you know, skirmishers, they say times 2, but they actually do 1.75 times, or 1.5 times against dragoons.
Yeah, the tag system is a mess. That's very confusing. Times 1.5 times 0.5. Hot damn.
But he gets cavalry archers out, and cavalry archers counter the rifle riders, which is nice. But at the same time, this eco lead that he has, he's just going to get bigger and bigger, isn't he? Because he's got the... he's only got the first millet system upgrade. I'd like to see him getting the Abbasid market upgrade and the Fortress Age ones as well. Because he's just going to get pushed off here. Look, the villagers are sort of in danger. I mean, the Axe Riders need to get back as well. Well, yeah, the Axe Riders need to get back. But there's not a stable in queue either. He definitely needs a stable, and he needs just to pump out cavalry archers. Because if there's a massive rifle riders, obviously they don't do too well against cavalry archers. Cavalry archers do counter them, but they can just out DPS them at the end of the day. They shoot 1.5 speed. and they're not bad against cavalry archers, really.
I should.
So
You're not the Coke man. You're the stats man. You just have. That's all you are. You're just like a big walking encyclopedia of knowledge bombs.
yeah, I quite like looking at the stats.
We'll call you the nuclear knowledge bomb, actually. So let's go. Should we talk about sort of the positions in the game? Because it appears that they have it quite fairly even ecos, although Optimus Prime does have 4 TPs, so that's going to put him up probably ahead, especially since his villagers train for free. And yes, he has built the Apache settlement, but he's not done anything with it yet. He's not got any techs from there, and he's only just put the Apache unit in queue. Which is, basically a dragoon. So I suppose going to be training those. They're reasonable value, but he instead of cavalry archers. Interesting.
They're actually better than dragoons, as they have 0.3 range resist on EP still, and dragoons have 0.2, and they do the same damage. But you can get an upgrade in here, which is really cool. It basically makes it so they do 1.5 damage versus villagers instead of a normal 0.5, and if he has it in deck, he doesn't. Ottoman has a card in deck which gives light cavalry 2 times damage against villagers, so you can end up doing 3.5 damage versus villagers, which is a bit ridiculous. But at the same time, he sort of needs these. Cavalry archers aren't the best units, and these Apache cavalry are basically just dragoons, so they're good against the rifle riders. And he doesn't really have anything to counter them because he only has axe riders and rifle riders of his own.
Yeah.
It does have actually has Wakinas at the back.
The Apache are interesting because you don't get dragoons as Ottoman. You just get cavalry archers, which perhaps aren't quite as good. And also these sort of, as you say, they have that extra range resist, and they also don't cost sort of any population. I suppose
Actually,
so maybe they're like kind of cost effective in that sense. Although you do have to buy the trading post, which is not ideal, and they get trained from an awkward location. But either way, they are bolstering his army. I don't think they're anything to write home about, but they're certainly not bad either. It's just a choice he's made, and it's working just fine. But the game, at the moment, it does appear that fairly even ecos, Optimus Prime a bit ahead on military, especially since those Apache Cav don't count in the graph there. So a bit of a stalemate, but if the game stays the way it is, I feel like Optimus sort of in the lead.
Yeah, Jerimuno really needs to make a war hut. He needs to get more Wakinas out, because obviously the bow riders trade quite nicely against basically the Apaches themselves, but he doesn't have anything which counters them directly. I mean, these axe riders are going to go into combat. They do have a negative multiplier against light cavalry because they're so strong as the units. But he doesn't want to take the fight yet. He obviously just wants to wait for the he wants to wait for that big button. The big button from Sue is so strong, and if he can mass enough units and get the big button out, he'll be in quite good stead, really. Especially if he gets Cav combat as well.
Yeah. We saw a lot of, during the New World Championship, players stacking all 3 of the upgrades, not just Cav combat, the 2 colonial age ones as well. But Jerimuno's had to send, Optimus Prime has had to send quite a lot of non-upgrades. He's been shipping lots of military units just to keep the numbers high. So I wonder if the timing will be sort of quite as strong without those upgrades. Cavalry combat he will be able to get in. That's the important one, isn't it? So still will have that. But yes, it is now time. Should we switch over to techs being researched? And we'll see that upgrade coming when he hits the food count. Coming in, going to try and deny this trading post, but actually just losing a lot of units as he's walking in. Is going to commit to the fight. Janissary's going into hand combat up against the Axe Riders here. And we've got Wakina in the back, as well as Bow Riders sort of taking them down. But there's a lot of Ottoman stuff here, especially Abbas guns in the back. And I am a little bit concerned for blue. 5 cavalry archer reinforcements there, but still nothing has been done about those Abbas guns. They're just chugging away damage like they do, really, really strong. And Jerimuno looks like he's sort of just gone in here a bit too early without his big button, and does not work out for him at all.
If I must be honest, I don't actually know why he pushed her. I mean, he had the hunt over here. He's already seen. He's on the left next to his fire pit, and he could have just waited for the big button. The big button is so strong. I mean, at this point, it would have been 6 dog soldiers, and 6 dog soldiers against this mass. Imagine if he just had 6 dog soldiers. All these Abbas would have been down.
Yeah, 6 soldiers would have helped a lot, right, with killing off, the Abbas guns. That's the one thing he wasn't able to deal with here.
Not even the Abbas guns. I mean, against the Janissaries, dog soldiers trade not too bad. I mean, Janissaries as as units aren't the best against cavalry, only doing 42 damage because they've only got a 2x multiplier against cavalry. And yeah, I mean, these bow riders, he just obviously shooting at the back. The Outsiders, which were what he needed against the Abyss guns, were just melting, weren't they? So, and you can just look at, if you look in the military unit population graph, I mean, Optimus only lost 20 units in comparison to Germany losing basically all his army.
Boom. To the ground. Game number 2 goes to Optimus Prime. The score is 2-0. Let's head on out and get into the next game. Jerimuno needs to pick up the pace, otherwise the SKG will not be in a good spot. Mind you, Raphael did quite well, so they've got some points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of what they need. Although saying that, Optimus Germany did go down 3-0 yesterday in the World Tournament, so and then he ends up winning. So I wouldn't count Germany out at least, really. I need to go quickly have a Bob Splosh, so I'll be back in like a minute and a half.
All right. We're back in the lobby. And I believe it's now Optimus who picks first again, going into game 3. No, this is game 3, right? So it's Jerimuno who picks first here. We'll see what he goes for. The next map will be Florida. Let me just double check that. No, it'll be Iowa. Pardon me. I'm going to take my jumper off. It's quite warm.
Jerimuno picking first now, isn't it?
Yeah, Jerimuno picking first. Iowa is the next map.
So yeah, Iowa, we need to be careful with again because of the hunts, but hopefully it'll be fine. Again, Iowa's it's quite common to play Iroquois on this map because of the ability to pressure your opponent when they haven't got the hunts closer to their base, and I don't know. Overall, it's just a map which is quite common with the aggressive civs. Or even the opposite. If you can try and wall up early, I know Breeze plays Portugal on this map, and so yeah, you can play defensively, but I think it's a map which you play aggressively more so.
I want to see people wall up that tiny choke and make Iroquois much harder to play, because I'm still convinced that like if you can wall the choke and you have hunts on one side of your base but not the other, it's really hard for anyone being aggressive to stop you from gathering those because they can't go through the middle. They're stuck on either the left-hand or right-hand side of the base, and you're gathering on the opposite side. So they have to go basically under or around your TC, or send a cav raid all the way around the map to get to your villages. So I want to see that. That's kind of what I would enjoy the most. And I feel like Iowa, I feel like it was supposed to be that way, but doesn't tend to play out that way. You can't get that wall choked up quickly enough.
I want to see
Walls
someone
are not
build
that strong. Gone.
No, I want to see someone put a dock down and build like a caravel or something in the pond, and just harass with the caravel. Because imagine if your hunt's one of the hunts spawns next to the pond normally. Imagine if you just have a caravel just denying the hunt. What can anyone do?
Oh, that would be glorious. Yeah, you'd have to build like an outpost or something like on the
how do you
coast.
build an outpost? You just have to sacrifice villagers to do it, basically, don't you? So
yeah, you have to sort of creep towards the coast, but you know the time it takes to react to that is a lot. You're absolutely right. That would be very, very interesting. Trouble is, docks are 200 wood, and then the caravel is, another 300. But I'd like to see it. It could work out. The only other trouble with the dock is there is no fish, so you're not going to be getting any like fishing value.
Yeah, there's sprites for fish, but there's no actual fish.
Yeah, and there's no home city drop point either, and it makes sense. Iowa is not it's not thought of as
I don't even know what Iowa is.
Water map.
I have no clue what Iowa is in the US, so I don't know. I mean, it's not a water map in the slightest. It just has the ponds. It's like Great Plains has ponds. You can put monitors in the ponds in Great Plains, but nobody ever does it. So,
I think Iowa is a western state. I'm probably going to get crucified.
I'm actually gonna look it up. We're waiting anyways.
Yeah, we are. All right, we're about to find out. We played a game, me and my housemates, the other day. Like, how many US states could we name between the three of us? We were playing it where one person names it, and then you go around in a circle, and that was quite fun. I think we got like 35, maybe 40.
There's so many just weird named ones. Like you forget stuff like Oregon as a state. Obviously, Washington's like the northern one, but you just forget it's there. Iowa is it's next to Minnesota. So
I thought we did quite well. There are a number we just totally forgot about. Like there are some really like difficult ones to name, but I reckon if Americans played the same game and named European countries, I don't think they would get as many as we got in states. Just saying.
Or like British counties or something. Like,
oh, that's not fair.
Impossible.
British. I couldn't name 30 British counties. Like that's not. It's not a thing.
30, but like the Scottish ones, I couldn't do because who cares at the end of the day? It's just miles away. I mean, for example, do you even remember like? Oh, we can go into the game. I probably should have done that. Do you even remember like Northern Ireland is part of the UK most of the time? I just sort of forget about it.
Wow, racist.
But yeah, Portugal versus Ottomans. I think Portugal win this because you just go ATP and you take them early, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it depends on the crate spawn.
I've heard people say this so many times. At the start of the game, they're like, blah, 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 blah. Civ just wins this, and then it rarely plays out that way.
I said that about Sue, and Sue lost, so...
Yeah.
My predictions are as good as Bloody Prince's, aren't they? So maybe I should just shut up.
Pro tip, you never want to say, like, oh, I think this Civ just wins, because that's boring to say. And then, like, everyone who doesn't know that much about the game, they take your word as the law and go, oh, well, that doesn't sound fun. I'm not going to watch this then. If Portugal just wins, what's the point? What's the point? But I think this is a very dynamic matchup. You've got one Civ that can be very aggressive, and you've got another that, well, has to be very defensive. It's got a second TC. He's looking to just get a strong eco. He's going to look to take all those trading posts, but so is the Ottoman player. He's going to be looking to, it's going to be very scrappy over these sockets. ATP, it's like, will it be even worth sending? There's only 3 of them, and Ottoman's going to have one of them at the very start of the game and probably can grab one in transition as well. It could be very challenging to get ATP on this map, I think.
It would be better to send 300 wood. Actually, I don't know, because ATP gives you the gives extra HP and a attack to the TPs. So I'm not entirely sure. It depends how easily you can get those last 2 sockets and get down the 3rd socket and take the whole trading route for yourself.
Yeah,
Are you ready?
This map is a map where I think we could see walls and certainly defensive structures. I mean, for goodness sake, the Portuguese get a second town centre. So we'll have to figure out where that's going to be placed. Interesting. It could be placed on the coast, and then that caravel strategy you mentioned just wouldn't work. But if there is a Civ that's going to block up the choke point, it's going to be Ottoman. And, it's going to be Portuguese. So I think this will be a very interesting matchup to watch.
Yeah, and obviously Ottoman is the one who sort of dictates how a matchup goes normally. And, yeah, it should be quite a good matchup to watch. I don't know what they're doing, because they were readied up and now they're not. Are they in game and we're not? Or something?
I don't think that's a bug I've ever seen ever, so I doubt it.
No, you can have a bug where if you ready up, sometimes it doesn't ready up at the same time, and then the other person will play the game and you won't. And you end up
doesn't
losing,
look like that is going to be the case today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Iowa Game number 3, the score is 2-0 in favor of Optimus Prime. He's in a good spot. Can Jerimuno bring it back? Playing Ottomans versus Portuguese here. Looking forward to this matchup. Thank you very much for the follow, Zozak.
Wait,
Hope you stick around. Sorry?
Do you get follow notifications?
No, but I can see the ticker, so...
Oh.
God damn it, stop interrupting me. You're ruining my intros. You're a terrible co-caster.
Yeah, I am.
You're
Yeah.
not. You're Mr. Knowledge Bomb. That's what
Yeah.
I'm calling you. Yeah, so excited to see this, right? Because of the tiny chokes here, and we haven't seen it being blocked up too much. But if it's going to happen, it's this matchup. I think Portuguese, quite defensive. Let's see if he does try to, improve those defenses with a wall. Interestingly, there's a little blob of water here. Look at that. It's just sort of poking out.
It'd be funny if you could build like a fishing.
Yeah, or a dock on it. It's just like sitting there on top or something. That would be quite funny. But Optimus Prime in the south of the map in the colour red, playing as the Portuguese, going for that early market there, and is going to get hunting dogs nice and quickly. His opponent playing as the Ottomans, Jerimuno up in the top there, leaving his gold on the floor. That is of no use to him. Will be constructing a trading post ASAP, and then he will go on to scout. Both players have the 1 scout, so not going to get too much scouting done. Especially Jerimuno, who has to build that trading post. But Optimus Prime coming across 60 wood. Not the best treasure because it's guarded by 3 wolves. So it's quite a lot, but is easy enough to take if you know what you're doing. Going to kite these quite nicely.
Are hunts equal?
Are the
I
hunts?
think they're about equal.
Let's have a look, shall we?
I think
Yeah,
maybe
they've
the
both
mine's
got-
slightly better for Jerimuno, but mines to Portugal don't matter as much as hunts, so I think it's fine.
I'd say the mines are fine. They've both got 1 on the front of their base and then 1 in the back, which is quite good. Kind of even there. And then your like third mine. I don't know if you should pay too much attention to where that is, as long as it's not like parsecs away. It doesn't appear to be, so that's fine. In terms of hunts, they've both got the normal one and a starting one in base, and then after that, 1 a bit further out. And then the others are, quite far away, but that's the case for both of them. Yeah, it seems like quite a fine map. I'm quite pleased with this.
Yeah, exactly. And at the same time, I think Ottoman's going to pick up 80 food, so he's going to age up incredibly quickly. And he got the tomahawk treasure, which is nice. So he might even be able to snare, or even he won't be able to kill the covered wagon, but he'll be able to snare it at least, which is a nice addition to his sort of posse there.
Yeah, be annoying.
What is interesting about this map as well is you have the old Lakota settlement. So, gnat rushing is actually really strong. Because you have that ATP coming in. So maybe he will gnat rush, actually. Yeah, if you look at Optimus's deck, he has native treaties. Which is, if you get both TPs, is an incredibly strong card. You get 3 Bolus Warriors, and you get 3 Homuncus from the Aztec settlement. And you get 2 or 3 Lakota Axe Riders. So it's one of the best shipments in the game for early shipments you can send. And at the same time, both native posts aren't bad. I mean, the Axe Riders aren't the best units. They're sort of like high HP Hussars. So you've got that, and also the big button. The Lakota Dog Soldier big button still there, which is back from Manila. So it's basically like these 2 big buttons.
Yeah. I was looking at that. It says Lakota Dog Soldier, cost free. I'm thinking, huh.
Yeah.
That seems pretty good. But that's not how it works by the sounds of it. Yeah, that's interesting using the vanilla Lakota. That's kind of fun. But I do wonder, I mean, you say it's one of the best H2 shipments, and that is true, but it does require you to have 2 trading posts, which is not a good thing to usually be having. You want to be spending that wood on other things most of the time. But yes, if you do have the settlements already, it's a very strong card, but it requires a lot of investment. I wonder if that's what he's got in mind. It is in his deck, and as you say, these are reasonable natives to do that with, so we will see.
He sent ATP as well, so these are not as big of an investment as they normally would be.
That is true, yeah. Or perhaps it's an even bigger investment, because now he's put a card into it as well.
No, he spots the outpost wagon as well, so...
You're right, it's easy to build these settlements, and Optimus Prime sending that... that's really clever, actually, isn't it? Because he wants to get the trading post line, but it's also going to give him something else to do with the ATP, because there aren't too many trading posts, so we'll be able to get some extra value out of it that way. Yes, the wagon is spotted, but and that bear is just mauling this wagon, but it'll be okay. He can turn himself into an outpost, and the bear sort of doesn't realize that he has gone anywhere. Yeah. They can't attack buildings.
Bear just staring. The ones you convert can, they do like 1 damage. At the same time, he might actually lose his Explorer, Optimus. This Tomahawk's going to come in, he's going to lose the Explorer.
Yeah, will he get the trading post up in time? Oh my goodness, this is quite close. I don't think he's going to. Oh my god! Oh, what? That's so close.
Hell? Look at the HP. It was 14 HP away from being built.
Oh wow. So he's not going to be pleased about that.
And at the same time, he can't send forward a villager because that Tomahawk's there. He is going to go over to the Lakota settlement, I think, maybe.
That is really, really awkward. That is incredibly awkward.
This ATP is sort of wasted, honestly. Unless he just brings a villager over and just taps it, and then he'll be completely fine.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going to do. The villager will be able to get away from a Tomahawk, I think. He can just sort of come over here, get out her hammer, and just watch this. Bop! There it is. And then just, like, gets out of there. But really nice reactions from Jerimuno getting this snare ASAP. But, the trading post has 25 ranged attack, which I think we'd forgotten about. The Tomahawk was really low HP. That was really clever from Optimus Prime, bringing his bear that he converted in earlier to get that Tomahawk really low HP, because that's the only thing that was really a threat to the villager here. That Explorer has very low HP, or pardon me, very low damage against villagers. So, got the Tomahawk low, finished the trading post finishes off the Tomahawk. That's really, really nice for him.
Yeah, and he's going to get the second trading post. I'm not entirely sure that ATP is sort of paid off, because he could have just sent 300 wood. If he goes to the Lakota and the Inca settlements, it'd be quite nice. But at the same time, Jerimuno is now AoE3. Ottoman FF is so fast. He's going to have those cannons out, which he can do with the town center really rather easily.
Oh, holy shit, you're right. Wow, we've not been paying attention. Yeah, Ottoman, 700 gold as his first Age 2 shipment, and just does the standard FF. And oh my goodness, you can get to the Fortress Age so incredibly quickly as the Ottoman, can't you? And that's exactly what he's done. So, the game's just started, and he's now in Age 3, and we're going to start seeing those really strong units come out. But it looks like he's not built a barracks. Oh, no, he has. It's over here. And he's got... Where did he get the... Oh, it's the 4 Hussars he aged up with. They're harassing the units. Okay. So, here are the Janissaries, now getting veterancy in. And I expect his first shipment will have to be 8 Janissaries, because I think it would be a very, very ballsy move to send cannons as your first Fortress Age shipment with only 5 veteran Janissaries to defend them. So, as well as, I suppose, 3 Hussars. But and that does kind of slow you down, because you need those cannons to be aggressive. So it may be a fast FF, but you can't get those cannons out and start, laming super fast. You do need a bit of protection for them. So I imagine we won't see that right away. He's going to need 8 Janissaries. But, yeah, and there it is, coming out. But, yeah, he's going to build the trading post here. And, if you've got ATP, it's quite a cheap investment. He's got native law in deck, as you said. Treaties, rather. So that's going to be a strong card for him. Pleased to see that.
Yeah, and he's gonna get the Lakota now as well. I mean, against an FF, I think it doesn't really help too much. I mean, you're investing that much. Although saying that, Jerimuno's not paying attention here.
Yeah, he's killed 2 villagers there, and he might even get a 3rd and 4th.
No, it's 4.
He's killed 4. Oh my, wow! 5 villagers have gone down. This is a lot of villagers. Yeah, he's in base, just really focusing on these 2 town centers. He's got tunnel vision. He's now just realized, but he's lost. He's gonna lose 8 villagers. 8 villagers.
Ottoman has 10 villagers.
What?
8 minutes 30 seconds, and Colonial Militia now coming in from Optimus Prime. He doesn't have the Falconets. You need the Falconets to deal with the Colonial Militia.
You do.
And Optimus is just going to sit here.
Oh my
He's going to have the nuts out. I think this is insane. Optimus is in an incredibly nice position.
Yeah.
And he only has, I mean, thankfully for Jerimuno, he still has that 1 trading post line. But other than the Falc push, he has nothing, and the Falc push just gets denied by the CM, probably plus the native treaties.
Yeah, and there's the second one coming down now. Look, that villager coming in to help build the trading post, so it makes me think native treaties is on the way, and he needs to get this trading post up ASAP. Interesting fact, though, you don't actually need to have the trading post up. You can send native treaties, and as soon as you get another trading post of a different nation, you'll actually get the units, the allied units immediately. It's a bit like Intervention. You can ship it without a consulate, and it'll just take effect.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, so it's not like essential that goes up ASAP. But
there's the homunculus, and he's going to have a Lakota as soon as it's made, as you said. Lakota just high HP, aren't they? Incredibly high HP units. But does he really mind if he's... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, you said you need cannons to deal with these colonial militia TCs, and you absolutely do, but, like, they're still very frightening. Like the colonial militia TCs, if they're targeting your cannons, they're actually very, very frightening. They do a lot of damage, but he's able to take down this first TC, not too much of a problem. And he's got out now his native treaties here, but he's sort of hanging on. I don't think he wants to go in just yet, maybe waiting for one more shipment or perhaps a batch of units from his stable or something like that, or for his hussars. Yeah, here they are to sort of return home, and then he can...
Saying that, he does have a nice massive Genesis, and there's 4 more coming out. He is popped, unfortunately. Yeah. But if he can defend those folks, I think he's going to be fine, honestly.
Yeah, he's got a lot of damage done. Killing a TC in that market and, you know, a couple of houses, he's doing a lot of damage. This is quite valuable. But, you know, Optimus not ready to defend it yet. He's waiting for another batch of units so the fight will actually go well for him. But, yeah, look at this. Jerimuno's done the damage, and he's now sort of just going to get back. He's not in a hurry to stand under the TC and let his opponent, you know, come at him when he's ready. He's keeping his distance.
What is nice as well is normally on this sort of point you'd be starving the hunts because you're sort of pinned into a corner of the map. But with that Lakota settlement, if you can get 150 corn, 150 wood, you can really quite easily just get the 12 bison, and that just defends.
Another 2 villages go down, right?
Oh my god, he has 12 villagers but 12 minutes. He's got a villager a minute.
1 villager a minute. Well, actually, it's 1 villager every 2 minutes because you start with 6 of them.
Yeah, you do actually, don't you? Yeah.
So, he has to. This push has to work, right? He's lost so much eco. He just needs to. This TC, if he can get the TC. Okay, big colonial militia coming in though.
Again, the TC's gonna go down. I reckon he just needs to shoot twice more of the Falcons. That TC's gonna stay up, especially with the Husk coming from the back here.
Look at the villagers fighting trying to bash down the cannons there.
He has blunderbuss, and villagers have 2x damage as artillery, don't they? So, I mean,
not in hand attack, I'm afraid, but they're still very effective against the cannons.
And 8 crossbow coming out at the same time. He's just gonna clean them up.
He has stacked this and dealt with it very, very nicely. That TC. He didn't panic, it got very low, but at the right time was able to call Minutemen and then had crossbow following up after that. Able to kill the cannons with his villagers, realizes that, okay, I can spend quite a lot of my villagers in this fight. All I have to do is keep this TC up, defend, and I know I've killed an absolute glorious number of my opponent's villagers. Wow, I'm glorifying killing. That's... It's not a good thing. Yeah, but he knows he's in a great spot economically. He's killed so many villagers. He's got nothing to worry about. He can use as much of his economy as he likes in this fight defending, and that's what he's done. And the TC's got the repair, dealt with the cannons, and I feel like the threat is neutralized. Exactly. And Jerimuno agrees with me, and he is going to go up to 3-0 in this play or 7.
Jerimuno hasn't said GG once. The whole series, which is interesting. But again, yeah, I mean, that push from Jerimuno would have been absolutely fine. I think he would have been in a relatively nice position, actually, if he just hadn't lost, how many villagers? Like 8, 10, 12 villagers, something ridiculous like that. He would have been worse on eco, obviously, but these CM are basically worthless now. They're only 1 HP. You get 1 cavalry and you put it into...
He's trample mode here.
Trample mode, they just all die. They all flop on the floor.
Yeah, I've seen Kaiser do that a few times. It is an absolutely wonderful thing to witness.
But yeah, he had absolutely no eco. I mean, he only had 1 TP up. Maybe if he'd just been aggressive against the TP line and waited for a bigger Jan mass and pushed, he would have been fine. But I think Optimus just held that very well.
Yeah, Optimus held that beautifully. It was really, really nice. And native treaties coming into play there. He had a bit of his follow-up was quite nice too. You know, Lakota have the bisons that you can ship. So if you're low on hunt and Ottoman's got the map, let's say he wasn't so lucky and wasn't able to kill as many villagers, he wouldn't be, you know, perhaps his opponent has more map control, more map presence, more units, and controlling all the resources on the map. You can sort of just ship some bisons to your TC, What else we got in here? The Lakota big button. I'm not sure how that works. It says this unit's not available until age 2, and we're in age 2.
So you press it like it's basically the same as the big button for Visu.
Does it cost
So
anything?
it's 500 wood, 500
Okay.
gold. So it's actually cheaper. In
Yeah,
villages,
it just says it's like, it doesn't say very much. It just says it's free and it's not available
No,
till
no,
age
no.
2.
Look at the one on the bottom right.
Oh.
Lakota dogs.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that one has all the correct stuffs there. What do you think that unit is then? It just says Lakota Dog Soldier free. Can you get one for free? That would be amazing, wouldn't it? You just like...
No. It's the placeholder one. It's the basically the Lakota Dog Soldier is the same, but it doesn't have. It's less specialized. It doesn't have the bonus versus infantry. That's the only difference. So they do like, I think they do like 40 damage or something in age 2. They also have like a weird picture, which isn't the same, but obviously that's been removed and it's now Cheyenne now, isn't it? So, but he didn't need it. He could have popped it at 14 minutes and got 5, and it's basically like having probably about 6 or 7 husks, so it's incredibly strong.
It's got me thinking. Sorry, not the Lakota Dog Soldier big button, which is strong as you're saying. What's got me thinking is like a free unit. Like when you build a trading post, maybe you should get like a free native unit just to like tide over the cost a bit. Just natives are not very. We don't see them too much. There was that Peach Rocks chap who I think had some good ideas, but a lot of people weren't super interested in changing the game in these radical ways. But I wonder if like how game changing would it be if like when you build a native trading post you get like 1 unit for free, or you get maybe 100 resources or 200, I don't know, something like that. Just like, I'm not advocating that this would be a good idea. It's just an idea that got me thinking when I saw a button that said you get a free dog soldier. I know that it's the button's clearly not working properly and it's blah blah blah.
So
but
I know what has been changed in the beta. They give a trickle like the mosque now. So they give a 0.5 trickle, which is roughly it's not half a TP, it's nearly half a TP. So it makes, for example, the Ottomans would be more viable on non-TP maps. But I know one thing which was quite interesting is if you remember the days of the ASC fan patch, when you built a TP, it gave you a travois, which turned into you could build that native embassy thing, which nobody ever builds.
Yeah.
You could build that, and it would give you one, so you could build it anywhere on the map, so you can use it for native rushing better.
Yeah, that's a nice idea. I like that too.
Because one of the problems with the native TP posts is they're sort of in random places, aren't they?
They are, and then you're training units out of the middle of nowhere. I really like this kind of discussion, like talking about like villages. I quite like the idea that there's a trickle on them. I'm not sold on it, but I think maybe it's a good idea because yeah, I think half the issue is they're just not very valuable. You might as well get a trading post. But now there's some interesting interactions on non-TP maps. I think there's a lot of things you could do to make trading posts better. It's just a question of what option do you pick. I think some other good ideas were like native trading posts should have like a ranged attack similar to an outpost and a giant like line of sight. Kind of makes sense. The village will fight back for you or something, and also they're going to know the area quite well. They're locals, they're native, so maybe they should give you a giant line of sight around the village. So it's kind of like a map control thing. There were tons of really, really cool ideas, but thank you very much for following For the Win Cheese. That's a great name.
That's a good name.
I'm gonna grab a. That man's all about the cheese, and you're all about the Coke. I'm gonna grab a Pepsi,
exactly.
and I will Pepsi Max. Actually, I'm on the sugar-free, but yes, I'll be back before this game starts, hopefully.
Sure. But Optimus picking Japan. Optimus being quite strong with Japan. Obviously, Florida being a strong map for Japan as well. You start with that market. But Jerimuno instantly choosing British, which would probably be a counter to Japan nowadays. I'm not 100% sure. I don't play too much British. I play quite a lot of Japan nowadays as well. But now we're going to have to wait for Will to come back. Hopefully it won't be too long. But yeah, I mean, both players have quite a lot of things they can do on this map. British likes having the market up and getting, actually Russia. So Russia obviously being incredibly hard for Japan to counter. They're sort of a counter to Japan. British also was, but I guess he's changed his tune.
All right. What are we looking? Japan versus Russia. I'm assuming that Riot's also gone.
No, I'm here. I was just looking at what Brambo said. So the Civs actually have reset. I didn't realise that.
Okay.
But I probably should have said earlier. But Jerimuno is now just flipping between Britain and Russia. He hasn't grinned in yet, so he can do what he wants. So, I mean, if he could play Aztec is probably the hardest counter to Japan. It's one of the only matchups where Aztec actually win. So, but it looks like
Come
it's
on,
gonna
that's
be...
not fair. You can't just say that's the only matchup Aztec win. That is not the case. It's not a fair thing to say. You're doing it all over again.
I'm parroting Doroga, so whatever he said, I'm just...
I don't know. Half the time, these top players... Okay, I'm not going to dismiss what they say, but, like, when we cast games, it's so far away from the truth that, like, this Civ just wins that or this thing just does this. It's like the games we tend to watch are always much more dynamic than the top players will have you believe. Partly because I guess the players aren't playing, you know, perfectly, optimally like a bot, like a Migo bot. But
Migo actually had an incredible EPL. He was probably one of the best players for how much he cost. He was like 1,000 coins, but I think he won every single match.
Oh, wow. That's going to feel good. Oh, that's a shame for him, because he played in my SmackDown, and that's like the one time he just didn't perform at all.
Yeah.
And he was really upset with his performance.
He beat Snow as well, which is the...
Oh, that's really nice for him. Very well done. But you're saying Aztec very strong against Japan then, perhaps. But we're not seeing Aztec versus Japan. What we're seeing is British versus Japan. And I must admit, these civs both sort of quite similar in the sense that they build houses to boom. They're looking to get their ecos up. I wonder, though, if we'll see something a bit different, because I feel like British is a bit quicker off the mark. They can get a bigger economy in a shorter space of time compared to, say, Japan. So Japan's going to have to spice it up. Maybe we'll see something a bit more aggressive. Maybe we'll see something to deal with the fact that that is the case. But so far, so good. Starting in the Discovery Age, I don't even know why I'm pointing that out. Yes, words are things, and just keep talking. That's what the job is. I wanted to talk about the market, but they both get one. It looks like there are no upgrades on these Japanese villages.
Yeah, Japan normally doesn't go. It's only 5% in Discovery Age. It's not too
That's
good.
true.
Have you seen the name of this treasure here? The attractive but odd-looking Rosate Spoonbill with 100 XP.
Yeah, I do. I have seen it before. Because for the New World Championship, we went through all the treasures on all of the maps in the map pool and like basically added them to, if you subscribe to the channel, you get like a random treasure. And this was one of them, and it comes up on the stream, and it was like, really funny. It was like, Cheese for the Win has discovered the attractive but odd-looking Rosette Spoonbill with 100 XP, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, Japan picks it up, but I think Jerimuno's not going to be too annoyed. He's going to find the pineapples with 100 food, which is a nice treasure. And, yeah, I mean, this map, I think what's nice about for Japan on this map is the hunts are quite sort of spread out. And obviously Japan likes shunning the hunts. They can't actually hunt at all. And meanwhile, British likes having the hunts close to their TCs so they can defend quite easily, because British takes a lot more hunt than normal civs. But Japan going for 3 fishing boats, sort of normal. It's Japan's best shipment in Age 1. Maybe Carney's slightly better, but I think fishing boats in the meta nowadays are just better. Although Schooners is in deck for Jerimuno, so he might go with water as well.
3 villagers coming out from British. And both players now aging up. So Age 1, fairly... not uneventful, but Riot and I don't think did the best job of covering that. We had discussions about other things, but it looks like a fairly even Age 1. 100 XP to Optimus, 35 food just coming in for him as well, but also 100 XP, 100 food for Jerimuno and 105 coin. So actually, I think I'm going to give Jerimuno the Age 1 there, which is interesting because he has just the single Explorer. But now going up to the Colonial Age, and we'll probably start to see that market get some use. Yeah, Gang Saw and Hunting Dogs already in for Jerimuno here. And I think we ought to check their decks as well. I think you just mentioned that he had schooners in there, which he does, and indeed has some other naval shipments. So looks like Jerimuno is prepared for that. Optimus, on the other hand, no.
Yeah, Optimus has a pretty normal deck for Japan.
Yeah.
For water. I mean, normally you'd have Yumis maybe in the industrial aid as well, but other than that, it's pretty normal.
Got the 2 attacker boons, the 2 funes, and 5 fishing boats, which you can send twice, of course, in the colonial age there.
Yeah, which is a better shipment for villagers for Japan as well, which is obviously quite nice. But at the same time, Optimus isn't actually utilizing his market, which I would have liked him to see him doing. I think his shrines are actually on coin, because he hasn't. Yeah, his shrines are on coin, so he's going to get the market upgrade, which is 25 coin. There you go, straight in. The 5% cherry options upgrade, which is quite nice. Although there are 2 forward settlers here from Jerimuno, so maybe he's going to be a bit aggressive. Yeah, there's a barracks going down, so he's more than likely going to be aggressive in this matchup. And comparatively, there's a barracks going down in base for Optimus, which is quite normal. But we'll just have to see what the first shipments are for both.
This is quite different to what I was expecting. I thought Jerimuno would have his buildings in base and would just be looking to build manors and get ahead, but actually has forward barracks here. By the looks of it, went up with, I'm going to assume, the Philosopher Prince, just because I don't see an outpost on the map. And as a result, units in queue. Starting to train muskets. So we'll be starting, further forward. Going to be aggressive.
600 wood as well.
Well, perhaps not aggressive, but you know what I mean.
No, yeah, he's going to be sort of maybe pressuring a bit. He's still going to get the boom going. I mean, normally you don't want to make longbowmen because that affects your boom, and the same with pikes. I think pikes are okay because obviously the siege is good for how much they cost.
Yeah, they cost all that wood, right, which you want to spend on your manors.
And Yumi's coming out for Optimus. Yumi's being the counter to Musketeers, of course. But thing about Yumi's is that normally longbowmen against like skirmishers age 2 are incredible because longbowmen shoot so much faster, and if you micro them, of course. But Yumi's, when you get the upgrade on them, don't actually tend to be too bad against longbowmen. So that's one thing to note. But Brit can't just spam longbowmen against Yumi's. But just gonna walk back now. He's gonna have to get some Huss in, which I assume he's gonna do relatively soon. There's also no consulate down for Optimus yet.
Yeah, there's the stable.
So maybe if he goes down for the consulate, he's going to get either probably Japanese and get the clubs out, because obviously you want the clubs to defend against sort of stable pressure. But Jerimuno is just going to go around sieging new shrines with the musketeers, and at the same time he's booming quite nicely. He's got 90 pop. Both players actually have 90 pop for housing. He's got to lose the Explorer here, but he gets a bit of vision, just saying there's lots of Yumis there.
Yeah. Worth losing. Well, he gets to see where those Yumis are. He's probably, okay, I can just commit to this shrine up here. Don't have to worry about my opponent coming out of nowhere with lots of Yumi. But now they're sort of mobilizing across the map, and where they might be is going to be sort of less and less certain. A bit like, I'm imagining that cat that is in a box or something.
Schrodinger's cat.
That's the one.
Or whatever it's called. But yeah, there's 5 Huss coming out. I mean, there's Ashes in queue, but there's no actual Ashes on the field. So if he's get caught, I mean, he's going to be in quite a nice position here. But obviously, Yumi is sort of known as being anti-cav in a way, because their DPS is so cute.
Only in mass, yes.
Diplomatic intrigue. So he's going to get a lot of. He's definitely going Japanese consulate. Text being researched. Yeah, Japanese consulate, and that's roughly like 10. What are they called? I call them clubs, but they have a funny name. But they're incredibly strong. 50. Yambushu or whatever they're called. But he's going to pump out loads of those. They're basically like a stronger pikemen.
Yeah. British seems a bit ahead at this point. More military, more villagers, or eco in general. Not over for Japan, but this is kind of what I expected to see. Just British getting a lot done quite quickly. But we'll see what Optimus can do. He's now got his diplomatic intrigue in. Perhaps we'll see something come from the consulate. As you say, the Yambushi, but actually, you're going for the Shinobi no Moro. And this is where we might now see a fight, right? He's got his sort of power spike. Perhaps
there's a lot of Huss there, and there's not a lot of Ashi.
Oh, that is a lot of Huss. Good lord, there's like almost as many Huss as there are muskets.
Yeah, Huss HP comes in at this point. It's going to be really quite strong.
Yeah.
And one thing to remember is Ashes aren't the best against Huss. They're not as good as normal Musketeers. They're slightly worse, actually.
There it
But
is.
they cavalry hit
Oh,
points,
wow.
as I said. Look, it's just
This
going
is-
to slam in there.
He's gonna. Well, he's just walking them through, right? Like he's a little bit afraid of those melee Minutemen, losing quite a lot of the cav, and then these other cavs have only just gotten into the
And
fight,
there's
and it's
not
given
much
time
Ashi
for
there.
Optimus's Daimyo to come in. Mototada, they're going to give a boost to the stats. I think actually these Hussars have been dealt with quite easily, and
Yeah,
they have
that's a
not gotten
clean
as
out.
much work done as I thought. And meanwhile, the Yumi in the back are just plugging damage, and those muskets are not going to be too pleased. And the slightly faster Japanese muskets, the Ashigaris here, are in hand combat, snaring the
yeah.
musketeers. And oh my goodness, they all died! God, Yumi is so powerful.
I don't know.
Look
if
at that, they
Jerimuno's
just
is-
slaughtered them. I know, I'm joking.
Jerimuno actually is not going to. Oh, he is.
He's not going
I
to
thought he
play
was-
the game on, it would seem.
No, I thought he was going to delete them so he didn't have to give the XP, but then I don't know why I thought that. But obviously, GG.
He deleted them because he's not in a good spot right now, and yeah,
Yeah, after losing that fight, I mean, maybe he could have won that if he had a couple of longbows in the back just shooting the Ashes down. But I was actually surprised. I thought there was a lot less Ashes there. I thought it was only about 10, but obviously not. It was much more. And at the end of the day, Japan's Yumi's just firing at the back of the Musketeers. It's not going to end well, is it?
yeah. I think it's safe to say that this matchup they had the Nilla Ninjas, that is, a different player on their team that I think would have handled this matchup much better. Goes by the name of GUA.
Yeah, and now Jerimuno's actually basically won the series now. Not Jerimuno. Optimus. No, he wasn't on. GUA isn't not.
We
on
know
the
what you're
Olympics.
saying.
Yeah, GUA was on Duck's team, the NA team.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Azamp bought GUA. Oh no, it was Azamp that put the initial bid. He said,
Yeah.
I want to buy a GUA, but never actually bought him. Is that what happened?
Yeah, GUA was the first person who was bid on.
Yeah, I was watching it live, some of it, during the ECL. Okay, so Azamp picked GUA, but didn't actually follow through. Okay. Yeah, this is not too good for... okay, my mistake. So he's not actually on the Nilla Ninjas. But this is not too good for the Nilla Ninjas.
No, the opposite way around.
This is not too good for the SKG. That's what I said.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's sort of leveling out that 6-1, wasn't it? I mean, maybe we'll see a 7-0. You never know. There's only 3 more games. We were in the same position we were in for the last game. Actually, I mean, one person's dominating completely, and because it's Mendocino, I wouldn't be surprised if Japan came out here. Although Sims have reset, so Optimus can play with Japan as well. And Optimus isn't joining the game, so we can't join. But yeah, I mean, I'm somewhat surprised that Jerimuno didn't mirror him, because Jerimuno tends to be quite well known for being a Japanese player.
Yeah, that's true. What is he waiting for, do you think? Perhaps he just thought he could win with British and that it would be a stronger civ. And to be honest, he looked in a great spot. He had all those cavs, and then Cav HP came in, and I'm calling them cavs because I think it sounds like kind of fun to call them cavs, even though it's cav.
Yeah, and
You're just like,
Like-
yeah, and go on.
there's not really much to say when we're just waiting for players to get in the lobby, is there?
I love calling them cavs and ruskets.
Cavs. Yeah, Muskets is good. I like calling them Musketeers because then it makes them sound a bit more,
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know, a bit more flamboyant. But yeah, let's. Civ is a reset. I'll tell them Civ's a reset. So Optimus can play Japan again, and it's Jerimuno to pick as.
Mendocino. I really like Mendocino. Like, it's growing on me a lot.
It's Ozarks, isn't it? The RE map is Ozarks.
Huh?
There's a map in RE called Ozarks, which it's got the same floor tile as.
Oh, right. No, the fact that... Okay, but that's not the reason I like Mendocino. In fact, it's got very little... I like Mendocino because... I don't know, for many reasons. It's just
Quite
like
cool map.
the way the games play out on Mendocino is quite fun a lot of the time. You've got that trading post going through the middle there.
And
Nox
big two
Zenny coming in
craters
with the
as well.
follow. Thank you very much.
What is nice as well is there's always a gold mine which spawns in the middle, be like 5,000 coin one. So it sort of becomes a contention because there's not too many mines in base. So that's what players tend to fight over. But you've got those two craters as well, which make it so you sort of wedged into the middle. Actually, what can happen with those two craters as well is they can spawn hunts in them, and you can actually go in them sometimes. Because I was playing a game against Kaiser and someone else in team, and you can just wall it off and basically have a free hunt in there. And it's a bit ridiculous when it spawns like that, but hopefully it doesn't because we'll have to restart the game. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting map, and it's good for Japan as well.
Yeah, it was like I'm wondering back now why it didn't make it into the New World Championship map pool, because we had 9 maps to choose, and I think like our thought process was, I think we shortlisted like a bunch of, I think there were 5 maps that we decided had to be in the map pool because like they were such like iconic maps, or they had gameplay or interesting features that we really wanted to show. I can't remember what exactly they were, but it went along the lines of something like we wanted Deccan to be in there because like 3v3 Deccan, and Deccan is like one of the most iconic maps. Almost every Age 3 player is going to know it. Thousands of games on 3v3 Deccan, so we wanted like a Deccan in the map pool. I wanted Great Plains in the map pool, but I was talked out of it, and instead we had High Plains. But we wanted that sort of, you know, Midwestern bison.
Well, yeah, High Plains is like the ESOC version of Great Plains, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Great Plains is terrible.
But it's got that same vibe, which is what we wanted. You know, that's classic Age of Empires 3. You see bisons and trading posts, and you know that's just, it just feels like Great Plains is kind of what a lot of people. So Deccan and High Plains, they're like the 2 most popular maps. And then we wanted New England for like the gameplay. Like it was just a very unusual map. We liked the ponds. We think it was interesting, so we wanted that in there. There are a couple more that we like had to put in. What else was in there? Kamchatka had to go in because it just felt like
it's a standard map, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very standard map, and it's more about like the memories of Kamchatka. Like it was the first competitive ESOC map. It's seen some absolutely amazing games like back in its day. You know, I remember Blackstar and H2O playing on Kamchatka. It was like the first map in the map pool of that tournament where they did play, of the I think the very first ESOC tournament. So we wanted it to be the very first map in the New World Championship map pool. And then what else did we have? I'm going through all the maps now. Baja California, I think we decided had to be in there.
Baja's a cool map though, actually.
It's with the water on either side. We kind of wanted like that dynamic. And
it's
then
also huge.
Yeah, I think by the time we got through like all the maps we decided that we really liked, that we felt were iconic, and
I felt like Tar Desert may have been a mistake because it was sort of hated by most players.
Yeah, Tar Desert's an interesting one because of like, we were just looking at the map features and we wanted to pick maps that were like interesting to look at from the perspective of someone that doesn't necessarily play Age 3. And Tar Desert's got a very cool light set. It's got all these hills and like these shadows and stuff. And like when I first showed that map to like Zach and Robo, they were like, "Oh my god, that's really cool!" Like it's just
that's a cool map. Definitely.
Like for us, it's like not quite so cool. But I think if you've never seen it before, it looks very cool. If I could go back and change the pick of Tar Desert, would I? Yeah, maybe.
I think being like India, Russia most of the time.
That's why I would change it, because it was just like very stale in terms of like the civs that were actually viable. Like that's mainly the reason I'd change it. But I think the role it was playing was a non-TP map, and like however many others, there's only like Cascade Range and Grand Chaco to choose from. So it's not like we had a big number of like maps to choose from for that particular slot, right? You have to have a map in there that's a non-TP map.
Yeah, you have to.
And we'd already picked Pampas Sierras because that one's really good.
Yeah, Pampas Sierras is actually probably the most fun non-TP map. As you have Alamas and you have I don't know, it's a fun non-TP map. I liked your intro to Tar Desert, which we saw about 20 times at Alam. Your shifting sands one. In between games, that was quite good. Did you make them for all of them, or only just Tar Desert and...
Yeah, there was... All 9 maps had videos made. I did the audio, of course, and then we had the visuals done in the scenario editor by a chap called Avast and another chap called Skeptofolia. Avast did most of them. and he's very, very good.
Yeah, the production quality at that was just incredible as a whole, really.
Yeah, it was
Just,
alright. The ECL had better production, actually, but that's because we learnt a lot of things. Oh, finally, a Civ. Germany.
Germany, probably the strongest TP Civ. If you ask like anyone. But Optimus obviously counterpicking now. But what can he do to counterpick Germany? Is it from probably mirroring Germany or something like Iroquois? Which
Well, you say they're a strong TP Civ. They absolutely are. But I think they're strong on maps like, for example, Kamchatka, for example, like Great Plains, where the trading post line goes through your base, and you can build that trading post, in your base, and it's kind of protected. Here you've got a trading post line that goes through the center of the map. So your trading post is always going to be a little bit more vulnerable. It is something that you will be more easily able to take down, during their transition to fortress, something like that. Still, it's something they can defend, but it is easier to get to. And if they don't have a trading post, they'll be weaker overall in the fortress age there. So worth pointing out that Mendocino, is a map like that.
Yeah, and obviously with Germany, I said this yesterday as well. Mendocino has quite good mercenaries, as Venegadas and Comancheros. I really want to see someone do mercenaries because it's so much fun to watch. But I highly doubt it. But it's still there as an option. But yeah, I mean, Optimus obviously has to pick against it. Maybe he picks something like Ottomans. I don't think Ottoman against Germany, I don't think is the strongest. But
you could pick Spain here. I always remember Spain being quite good against Germany.
I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, in a colonial sense. Like Rod Ellero's just good against.
They're underrated units, Rod Ellero's, actually.
That's the one thing Spain's got going for them. Okay, but actually, come to think of it, I'm not sure I'd be too pleased if I was playing Spain and I was up against Germany. But then most of the time, like, you just play Spain and not be too pleased to be playing it. Like, it doesn't really matter what civ your opponent's playing. You're just going to be a bit sad because you're playing Spain.
Oh, India. It's interesting. Not like you'd expect, because India obviously is stronger civ on the non-TP maps, and there's a non-TP map next to Guernshaco. So, yeah, I mean, not like you'd expect.
All right, shall we get into this? Took a while to figure out what civilizations they wanted, but that's fine. We got to tell you all about the New World Championship map pool. I sometimes have, like, little fantasies about what the New World Championship number 2 map pool would look like, but it doesn't look like we'll ever be having a New World Championship number 2.
Wasn't there one before as well? Like, oh no, it was New World Challengers or something like that.
Oh, no, that was a completely different event.
21. Oh, okay.
That was just Azant versus Yumiyu, and I don't know. I called it New World Challengers because for some reason I knew that Challenger was the max rank in StarCraft, and I wanted to like play on the fact that it was like the New World, and I don't know. I just thought we might get some StarCraft viewers by calling it that, but it actually has nothing to do with it. But the point is, what I quite like to do is think of a combination of 9 maps that I'd put in a map pool, like the ultimate like map pool. And it's something that I think Mendocino is what we're playing on right now, is a map that I keep coming back to and that I think I might include in my, like, fantasy map pool if I was to build, like, my favorite 9 maps. I don't know, because a map pool's a hard thing to build. You have to balance it between TPs, non-TPs, water, non-water, etc., etc. Although, the more I think about it, I don't actually think we should put non-TP maps in the map pool, or very many of them, maybe just one. Because I don't consider them to be standard maps anymore, and I think, like, respecting them as a thing that needs to be in a map pool, just because, like, I think that was a mistake for the newer championship. If I could do it over, I wouldn't put as many non-TP maps in there, just because they are non-TP maps. Anyway, let's talk about the game, Interjection. Good lord, what am I doing? I'm going off on a very wild tangent, but yes, Optimus Prime playing as the Germany, gathering up some wood there for his house. He built that trading post, wants to get his house down, and then we'll be in a good spot. India, on the other hand, also gathering wood, but for completely different reasons. We know they want to be building villages, but off to a really nice start. Optimus Prime finding 30 and 40 coin very quickly with those 2 elephants, very easy to do, and then in the center of the map picking up 90 food, and indeed 70 food here as well. Lots and lots of treasures. Jerimuno's not without. He does get a pot of blueberries worth 80 food. And Optimus Prime finding potatoes, of all things, worth 70 food. But Optimus off to a really, really nice start here with these food treasures.
And 2 villagers coming forward for India, so he's going to put that aggro fort down.
Hot damn already! Wow.
Yeah, it's quite early, 150. Normally you get up about 230, the aggro fort, if you're not being too aggressive.
Yeah, I guess he just wants to get them here early, and with all those food treasures, was like, well, I better get a move on.
Yeah, I mean, there's even more food treasures down here. Oh, that's 2 sheep. There's 2 food. There's an 80 food treasure here. Saskatoon trees bearing fruit. There's also an Iroquois tomahawk, which is nice, and there's also 2 stray dogs. 2 stray dogs being a particularly strong shipment, actually, because not shipment treasure, because nothing actually counters dogs except from villagers. So against like Seapo and stuff, they don't even fare too badly.
Yeah, no, they're quite good, particularly like as a cavalry role because they're not counted by as you say musketeers and that kind of thing, but still have like similar sort of high melee attack. Not particularly many hit points, but yeah, war dogs I suppose another thing. Maybe Spain needs to start with like 2 war dogs. Actually, I don't necessarily think that would make them any stronger, but I don't know. I'll stop talking about Spain. I'll stop talking about map pools. What we see now, though, is an aggro fort going down in the center of the map. They're really nice on Mendocino because of, indeed, the trading posts and these 2 sort of chokes in the middle of the map, or these 2 giant holes. But what you're signaling is a trading post rickshaw. Oh, baby.
Empire being sent. It's basically like India's ATP. It's slightly worse. It's only 20% cost. So they are 160 wood instead of 200. And they get a small 33% HP boost. So they end up being something like 3,325 HP. That signals that India is probably going to go for 2 or 3 TPs. Obviously, he doesn't get distributivism, which he normally would send as India, which is basically 3 villagers, because you get a villager with each shipment as India, right? So, but at the same time, he's going to get, if he gets those 2 trading posts, he can then destroy Germany's one and get 4 TP stagecoach, which would be quite a boon to his economy.
Yeah, I really like this decision on this map. I think it's not really doable on a map like, Kamchatka or Great Plains. Not least because they have only 3 TPs there, but partly because on this map, as I said earlier, the trading post goes through the center of the map, meaning that your opponent doesn't just have one in base for free. So with that aggro fort in the center here, which is already a very good spot for it because, as I said, these holes, you get a lot of map control by placing it there. A trading post strategy like this sort of works out quite nicely because of all these things congealing together. You can sort of control that route that goes through the middle with your military, with your aggro fort, all of these things. So, yeah, there is certainly that. This is quite interesting to see, and I wonder if Optimus can pull it off. He's on a good streak at the moment, 4 games to 0. So, that is right? This is not game. This is game 5.
This is game 5.
I might have to crack out my my special scoreboard again.
Yeah, I think you might have to. I mean, if he wins this, it's going to be 5-0 to Optimus. And look at the little zoo he's got here. He's got the 2 seaports from the age up, obviously, and he's got the 2 dogs and the tomahawk and his 2 elephants. So even now, he's got 4 Huss here, isn't it?
Look at this explorer. Can you imagine being that chap? You just, minding your own business, and then you just like emerge, and there's a fort, and like some dogs and some Iroquois chap. Oh god! And then a firing squad pops out. But he's very tanky. Imagine that.
And he does send 600 wood now, Optimus, which I don't actually like. 600 wood as India it's a bit of a naff ship, really, unless you're being rushed. I think it's just better to send foreign logging because it's just better because it's basically like 5 villages, isn't it? Foreign logging is quite a strong shipment. And in comparison, he's just going to use the wood to get the trading post up, but again, I'm not entirely sure it was worth sending 600 wood. Maybe foreign logging would be better.
So you'd like to see the trickle there. What it does give him, though, is the ability to immediately throw down the third trading post and get stagecoach, and also perhaps build some more military buildings. He's not got pardon me, not military buildings, but buildings in general, right? Like he's going to need houses here, which he's building. He's popped at the moment and can get his consulate, although he won't be wanting to send anything till diplomatic intrigue comes in. The point is, like, I think he's trying to aggressively take the map, and 600 wood gives him the ability to do that quickly.
Yeah, his explorer does get caught, though, with his 2 lands, and the third one's going to come in. So that's probably going to go down, which he's going to get denied that trading post for some time being. So he might miss a pass or 2. Is the explorer going to go down? Yeah, it's going to get hit once more and it goes down. At the same time, Jerimuno hasn't aged. He's sort of missed macro there, 400 food over what he needed. And but he's going to go into the coin mines, and when he ages, he can send those incredibly strong German shipments.
And that is what he's doing. Age up in queue already. Not messing around. Not sending the 700 wood either. Just going to go straight up to the Fortress Age. I think a lot of the time as Germany will see sort of 2 villages, 3 villages, and then 700 wood, and then 700 coin and go up to the next stage. But here he's going to skip the 700 wood, and I don't think he'll have time to get that wood out at all, right? He's just going to be in the Fortress Age, and he's going to have to chop wood for his houses unless he wants to send something like 1,000 wood, which could be on the cards, but given how, how aggressively India is taking the map, I think he'll want to get started with military unit shipments sooner rather than later so he can start sort of pushing back. But yeah, now up to the Fortress Age. We'll see how he sort of wants to play it, but worth pointing out, doesn't have that wood shipment and is going to have to put a lot of his economy on housing duty.
Honestly, he's not chopping any wood now, so he's almost definitely going with 1,000 wood. Especially seeing as his population isn't actually quite pop. Saying that, well, he's just switched to it, so probably isn't sending 1,000 wood. Just disregard what I just said. But he's 5 skirmishes coming out, so that's going to defend that trading post. Trading post probably still going to go down, but just more and more seapoys coming out for Optimus. And seapoys against A3 Germany it's not the greatest combination, just having one unit type, because you can just, it's like a musketeer, it might be stronger, but you can still get war wagons out and just kite them to death.
The term is kite all day long.
Is it kite all day long?
Yeah, that's what I say anyway. I quite like that term. But yeah, he's going to kill the trading post, but these skirmishers get 4 seapoys. Can they get a 5th? I think, he does! He gets 5 seapoys for his troubles, so I don't know, I feel like the trading post going down, yes, it's unfortunate, but that was a really, really nice pickup with just a couple of skirmishes on the board there. But as I said at the very beginning of the game, because this trading route goes through the middle of the map, you don't have that TP in base like you might on Kamchatka or other maps, and as a result, he sort of loses it. We'll see how that affects his sort of long term, but, I'd be pretty pleased as Jerimuno here getting those 5 seapoy kills.
Yeah, and there's 4 Sowars coming in. Probably going to wait for the Gardeners and then sort of do some sort of push. But at the same time, if you just look at units in queue, Jerimuno's just making more. He's going to get stable up now. He's going to make more skirmishes. And I wouldn't be surprised if he sent something like 8 skirmishes next. So the Sowars being not the best unit, really, are they, compared to normal Huss in H2? And he's going to have the Gardeners, obviously, but can he really push this mass, which is going to get larger and larger and larger? He's lost 2 of his trading posts, so his eco lead, he hasn't even got stagecoach. So actually, his eco lead isn't as much as you'd think it would be.
He's lost 1 of his trading posts. The other he never had to begin with.
Yeah.
But
he's only got 2.
That's the point you're making. Yeah, he sent that trading post card, investing in them quite heavily. Mind you, it's not like he's bought stagecoach and is missing out. So there is that. But yeah, he's not able to maintain control of those trading posts. Germany gets up to the Fortress Age quite quickly and then can push out and start retaking some of that map, which is sort of what he's doing. Now has a stable down. Has finally managed to weave that in, gathering a lot of wood to make it happen, but has made it happen and is just sending shipment after shipment. There's 8 skirmishes coming out now. There's 4 war wagons in queue, so once those 4 war wagons, I imagine it'll be 5. Once they pop, he'll have 8 war wagons in total, and that should be enough to protect all of these skirmishes, and I think he'll feel a bit more confident sort of pushing into his opponent. Currently, though, he's going to stay back and wait, doesn't quite have the anti-cavalry, would be quite afraid of, as you were mentioning, Sowars and indeed the Gardeners from India. But deflects a raid.
This forward coin
ouch,
might actually be a problem. He's going to get denied off of it. He has to take the fight. Obviously, these war wagons need to come in rather quickly because there's quite a lot of Sowars. But again, he's just grouping all his units together. He's going to lose the Agra Fort, I think.
He might do, yeah. The war wagons are now coming. He's going to have to jam his stuff in pretty soon if he wants to keep it. I think he's got a little bit of time, maybe 10 seconds. He needs to go in very soon, though. Otherwise, yes, he will lose that Agra Fort. Bleeding out on the skirmishes again. This is the first game. Jerimuno's looking quite strong. Takes a volley at those Sowars. They can't find an opening. That treasure's sort of in the way there. and doesn't want that Agra Fort to sort of land a blow on the treasure, which would then make the Outlaw Rifleman attack, but has managed to make it happen. The Outlaw is actually attacking the red units, but jamming the Sowars in there. The Gardeners haven't arrived yet, but Jerimuno doing a good job of kiting backwards here, of keeping those skirmishers out of the way of those Cav, but the Cav do not last long. Sowars very, very low HP. They die very, very quickly. And here is now going to be able to just deal with the Sepoy. Didn't take down the Agra Fort, but has forced the hand and has managed to kill a lot of Sowar, a lot of units in general, and now has a really nice unit composition. Just a lot of skirmishes here against pure Sepoy, which is going to be very, very effective.
This Outlaw Rifleman was actually attacking the Agra the whole time, so he wasn't able to repair it at all.
Oh, wow.
Oh no, Jerry, you're just losing your skirms. Pull them back with the war wagons.
Yeah, he does need. Yeah, he gets it down. He gets the Agra Fort down. Did lose a few skirms there, walking into the Sepoy. Here comes some more Sowar, but I think they'll be okay. He's just going to jam them in there anyway, but there's a lot of war wagons here, and indeed a few Uhlans as well, which will be very effective against the Sowar. They can take them down quite quickly. Looks like Germany is in a really good position. You can see Optimus chucking villagers in here, just a few of them. I think actually they might be on their way to gather something, but they could be being used just as defense, because he needs to win this fight. Otherwise, he's going to lose those last 2 TPs, and things will look really, really dire. He has to neutralize these German forces, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that right.
No, he isn't. I mean, these war wagons doing so much damage, and that's a GG. I think he just he played way too passively. I mean, those 2 training posts sort of showed to Jerimuno that he was able just to age up incredibly quickly, about 700 gold, and just chop with his villagers for housing. And he ended up just, because of that, he missed the stable as well. Like, we didn't realize that he went to barracks in age 1, and just war wagons and skirmishers and a couple of Uhlans on the side just dominate this composition completely. Maybe if he had some Gurkhas, he would have been in better stead. But again, he just made Sepoy, which against that composition don't do anything.
Ouchie. Didn't work out. It looked promising. I like the trading post build, but ultimately vanilla Germany is quite strong and was able to win the fights there. Let's take a look at that military unit population graphic. You can see just sort of spikes up here. Fight does not go that well for Germany. Pardon me, for India, and I think really that's going to be the story of the game. Had it been closer, the game could have continued, but not the case. All resources gathered is always a nice graph to have a look at. Jerimuno a bit further ahead. Towards the end, India does sort of break away and get into the lead, but by that point, he's lost a lot of units, and Germany, well, it doesn't really matter. Let's head on out into the next game, but looks like Jerimuno does put a point on the board. And he will not be going down 7-0, that is for sure. I think he'll be relieved about that. Perhaps we'll see a comeback. I mean, Optimus has already won, but the way this works, you do get points for your team for every game you win.
Exactly. And off Raphael's strong play yesterday, if Jerimuno can get a couple more points here, he's going to be... SKG is still going to be quite handily in the lead. So the next map being Grand, India's already taken for Optimus Prime. He can't play India. Maybe he has to pick Russia now. I mean, what do you do if you pick something which is not Russia or India? You just get dominated, don't you, on non-TP maps against someone who's counter-picking you.
Grand Chaco coming up next.
The only non-TP map in the map pool as well.
Yeah, and that's how it should be, I think. Like, it just... I don't know. I feel like for many years we've been skewing map pools in favor of non-TP maps when they like don't actually have... They shouldn't have that higher representation. That they're not standard maps. And like in SmackDown going forward and in tournaments that I host going forward, I'm not gonna like fill up the map pool filled with non-TP maps just because they're non-TP maps and we need to represent non-TP maps. Like they're not standard maps. I'm not gonna put them in as much. There'll probably be one, and if your opponent vetoes it, then well, that's what they've done. Like they're just, I don't know. We just disproportionately saw a lot of India and like British and just civs being picked because it's a non, like it just shuts down like a whole bunch of civs that you can that you can't play on them.
Yeah, it just makes it a bit more dull. But Optimus, obviously, again, what can you pick here except from Russia? There's no other civs you can pick.
Yeah, and
You can't pick. Maybe Dutch, actually. That's probably the only
Yeah.
other civ you can pick here.
This is why I think Grand Chaco would have been a better map than Tar Desert, because you can actually like sort of play Dutch effectively. We did see some good Dutch games. I think Wicked Cossack proved to us Dutch can be played on the Tar Desert. That was some really excellent games against Soldier in the New World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even Aztec, but even then, Aztec India is an interesting matchup. I think it's slightly India favoured, maybe even more so. And we've only seen Aztec played twice so far in the map pool, but I know Optimus actually likes playing Aztec, especially in team. He plays it quite a lot. So maybe we'll see that for him, but we'll just have to wait and see.
They're having a thonk. Do you like Grand Chaco?
I think that's quite.
It's quite a popular non-TP map, I think. Like, if we were to play non-TP maps, I feel like this one is like... I think players like playing it a lot more than...
God. Hello?
Hello. Yeah, your ping went bright red.
Yeah, everyone else is red to me, and we'll have to wait a minute.
Oh, you're recovering now.
Yeah. Wi-Fi sort of sucks.
You're on Wi-Fi? What are you doing on Wi-Fi? Fool.
I'm at a uni house, aren't I? I can't actually have Ethernet.
Oh,
because my
what,
room
like...
is third floor.
Oh, I didn't let that stop me. I ran a fucking cable up the stairs.
Yeah, but then I'll just annoy everyone else who lives here.
You should see our house, where I'm living with, obviously, Zach, Robo, Ham. We've got 4 Ethernet cables all going up to the upstairs bedrooms, like, going up the stairs, and, like, they're all, like, taped in place and stuff. It's, like...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at home, thankfully we have, like, Ethernet ports in each room, so we can just use that. But while I'm at uni, I'm sort of stuck. Also, at home, I have Dorset internet, so it's shit, isn't it? So
I would just run one up the stairs and tell them to live with it.
What? But it's 2 flights of stairs.
Oh, 2 flights, yeah.
I mean, I'd have to go along the corridor. I'm not going to do that. It's also in someone's room, so they'd have to have their door open.
What?
It's in someone's room, yeah, because it's Virgin Media. They put it on like the front bit, and what happened is the living room, because it's rented stuff. People who rent stuff out want to have as many rooms as possible. I mean, I can go ask them. Their rooms are unlocked anyway, but I'm not going to because I'm fine with Wi-Fi. It just goes out from time to time. It's quite annoying.
Yeah, Wi-Fi's okay. It gets a bad rep. It's just those random spikes that are the trouble.
Yeah, I get like 2 of them a day. Better than that, it's fine.
2 a day keeps the lag away.
Yeah, exactly. But I also bought like a beefy Wi-Fi card for like 80 quid. And honestly, it may have been a bit of a waste, but surprisingly, it's gone from like 30 megabits to like 250. So hopefully I should be fine. I don't like in game anyway, so
I just spent £30 on like card sleeves, you know, like that you'd put like say Magic cards or
oh, like a booklet sort of thing, or
no,
just
no, by individual card sleeves.
Ones. Okay.
Because I mean, I do have some. I did play Magic. My collection is definitely out of date, and my decks are no good anymore. And they're all sleeved up because you want to keep the cards nice. But I'm actually like halfway through making. I'd like this idea for a card game, and I was on a roll last night. I was unstoppable. Like I was just like bashing out cards. Like all the mechanics were clearly in my mind. I knew exactly how the game would work, and I thought, right, tomorrow I'm gonna have to like print out these bits of paper with the cards on them and start putting them in the sleeves so that I can play test it. My enthusiasm has since sort of dipped. Such is the way of things. Like enthusiasm has a half-life of about 12 seconds. It starts real high and you're like motivated to do it, but the drop off is quite tremendous. I think I will try. It's just like building the cards was much harder than I thought it would be. But I want to print them out and start putting them in these sleeves and stuff. But yeah, your £80 Wi-Fi is. Don't worry, that's nothing. At least you're actually using that. I might not use these sleeves. Yeah. I might just send them back.
You used to be quite into Prismata, didn't you?
I'm still into Prismata. I play it loads.
Does it? What actually? It's. Oh, not Prismata. That's the one that sponsored you, isn't it? What was the RuneScape one? The Chronicles or whatever.
Oh, Chronicle RuneScape Legends, yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah, the
got shut
game
down,
like
didn't
I
it, though?
kind of decided to make is similar. Like, it's kind of what gave me the idea because I thought Chronicle was a good game. They just did a lot of things like, well, I would do a lot of things differently, and I'll tell you what, I am doing them differently because I'm making a goddamn game that's gonna be. I think it will be. I don't know. I think I'll have learned from the mistakes and make something that's really cool. But enough of that. Grand Chaco will be the next map. Jerimuno will be playing as Russia. Takes these guys a long time to figure out what civs they're going to play, but we have decided now. The score is 4-1, and Jerimuno, he's going to have to think long and hard. And I think I don't begrudge him for taking his time because, you know, you don't want to be losing any more games. You want to show that you can get a few points on the board for your team. And that's what I think Jerimuno is looking to do here. Playing Russia versus Japan. Immediately starting the game here. Going to crack shot the 30 wood treasure, but he's going to leave that. We can go back and gather that up later. What we want to do right now is get out on the map, start finding those llamas, and that does seem to be what Jerimuno's done. He's found sort of 2 of them there, about to come across, well, not about to, but down here is a 105 coin treasure. Doesn't look like he will come across that, actually, but his opponent, Optimus Prime, spawning in the south of the map. In the color red, playing as Japan, and has 2 scouts there, one of which has built a shrine over here, finds himself 60 food, not a bad treasure there. The other looking for those llamas, and indeed comes across a 120 coin treasure as well. But Japan versus Russia on Gran Chaco. That is the matchup.
Russia obviously be more aggressive in this matchup, because if you let Japan just turtle and do their thing, they'd be incredibly powerful with their upgrades and wonders. But Russia, I think, is quite a nice counter pick to Japan, actually. But saying that, Russia's going to pick up 60 food. I believe Japan picked up 40 XP, which is quite nice before your first shipment. 40 XP is obviously quite nice. And this map in particular is about getting the llamas early on and getting nice treasures. 100 food here, probably the best treasure on the map. Oh,
Yes.
Sec bath.
sec please instead of sec buff. But
I'm just reading the chat. Way Inter's making a game? Yes, Cossack. Well, I've had the idea for a long time, but like I had some inspiration yesterday. I'll once it's in a playable state. You've got Tabletop Simulator. No, you don't actually. God damn it! I thought we played Secret Shitler with. We never used the Tabletop Sim. Oh, I guess I won't be able to show you. It's going to be a physical card game. Not something you would buy packs for. Just like something that in theory would be shipped as it is. Although I don't ever intend for it to get that far. I think it's just a fun project that I think would be fun to do. But yes, now the game's resumed. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and as it resumes, there's a bit of a contention here for 105 coin, which is rather large treasure. Of a Divine Strike coming in, but I think Jerimuno actually got it. Yeah, Jerimuno, 105 coin. And obviously those Japanese explorers would have run away. They're not as strong as the European explorers. So, actually, he could fight it. Yeah, he could fight it, but he's not going to. And at the same time, Japan got a coin start, so he didn't go for the consulate. He's going to go for 300 wood, which is probably the best thing you can send. I mean, you either send 300 wood or 2 villagers if you're going against an aggressive civ. And it's sort of up to personal preference. I think there's consensus that 300 wood may be slightly better. But, yeah.
Yeah, gonna gather the wood up, gonna make some shrines. All seems pretty good. He was quite good at finding the llamas there, so these shrines are gonna have a bit more efficiency as a result of that, and Russia won't be eating them to squeeze out any extra units. So he's got that going for him, which is pretty good. Jerimuno, though, going to stick with... doesn't have a lot of options, I suppose. Not like Japan, which has boats and wood and 3 villages, or 2 villages, actually. But gonna go with distributivism, and that's the tried and true Russia. Not a lot of other things you would want to send, and that's fine. That's just how it is. But now has got the age up in. We'll be going up with 14 villages with the quartermaster there. So I imagine now just gathering the wood up for his blockhouse, and we'll see those villagers sort of head out into the center of the map to find a position to place it there. Still roaming the map with his explorer. There's a 40 coin treasure there that he might get, but not too many things left now. We're sort of entering this sort of late discovery period before we get to the colonial there. Villager coming out to herd this back home, and shrines for Optimus going up where he can as a result of that 300 wood. Nice shrine here on the side of the map. In fact, both of these quite good. You want to keep them really far away from the middle where your opponent's blockhouse is likely to be, so it's kind of harder for him to seize them down. But three lovely ladies coming forward to position a blockhouse in the center here next to two hunts and a mine.
One of them's just hammering the other person's leg because he's too far away. But yeah, that blockhouse going to go down sort of mid-map. Basically denies two. She is, isn't she?
She pulled out a measuring tape and just measured her booty. Oh dear, dear. Yes, blockhouse.
Yeah, I mean, you go probably 5 musketeers in queue as soon as Jerimuno opens up. Let's have a look. Consulate in queue as well, so he's going to get a Japanese consulate straight away. Let's see those musketeers.
Nothing just yet.
No, he just sent Cossack. Yeah, he sent Cossack.
He needs another house before he can queue up the 5 musketeers, so a couple of houses being chucked down there.
What you normally do is you put
you
5
musketeers first, yeah.
And then you put Cossacks in queue. Obviously, it's not too bad. You lose like 10 seconds or something. But yeah, Japan, not even up yet. Only 1 village on the Wonder. Sometimes you have 2. But he's going to get a coin, he's going to get a barracks down, a stable down even. So he's probably going to go stable and go send something like 5 ashes or... I don't know what he's going to go for on the console. He's going to go for Japanese console, obviously. You wouldn't go for anything else here.
Yeah.
But 5 Cossacks out, and at the same time, 5 Musketeers are going to come out as well.
So... let's talk about how this matchup sort of plays out. 5 Cossacks usually what you're going to see first. Just quite a strong shipment. Get that pressure going ASAP. And they're entering the base here. They might be able to kill those monks. Or perhaps a villager. Yeah, they're going to commit to a villager. Going to take a few swings from those sentries that were called. And is going to lose, I think, about 3 Cossacks for it. 2 at the very low HP. So not... yeah, just going to have 2 Cossacks left in exchange for a villager. Which is, you know, not the best trade, but he did force the sentries there, and they're now going to trickle down to 1 HP. So it does have that going for him. But I think the way this matchup sort of usually plays out is Russia, as usual, is the rushing Rusharoo. They're quite aggressive, right? They want to do some damage, make it sort of harder for Optimus, the Japanese player, to boom, make him commit more resources to defending, and he can't get the shrines up.
And now we see that the musketeers are coming in, and Shinonubas, whoever they're called, the ninja people with a sword in their back, are being produced from that diplomatic intrigue. So these are 14 range and 4.8 speed even. So they're actually really rather good against the musketeers, a bit like Yumi's but don't have a multiplier. And although the Cossacks, there's a decent amount of Cossacks there, and obviously Nagis versus Cossacks trade incredibly well against Nagis. And these sentries he's already popped, so they're nearly down to sort of low HP now, 0 HP nearly. And he's just going to seize the shrine. And at the same time, Optimus doesn't have a huge amount of shrine pop himself, so the eco isn't even that much in favour of Japan.
No, not at the moment. That is true. It is slightly in favour of Japan, but yeah, it's going to be challenging to get all of those that eco up. 600 wood does arrive, with which he can add more shrines in. Where are those monks? I guess they're at home, actually. Yeah, they're not sort of involved. They're not building shrines out on the map. Looks like he's going to try and now go. He's got lots of shinobi there, which will be quite good against the muskets. And 3 Nagis are actually going to be really helpful for snaring these musks, so the shinobi can do whatever they feel like, get that sort of damage off. But some reinforcing musketeers coming in, and he's going to be able to escape the majority of the musks there.
Can you imagine if the Cossacks were in the fight, though? I mean, these Shininuba people were not particularly good against Cossacks in the slightest. Okay, they're better than normal units. Oh, it's because there's some Nagis at the top here, 3 Naginatas on the left. which are going to get taken down.
They sort of went off to raid. They didn't find anything, but those Cossacks are going to sort of capture them. Yeah, you're right. If they were in the fight, it would have gone a lot better. But thankfully for the Japanese player, he's managed to deflect that pressure. And now perhaps he's in an okay spot. He's got some units out. He's kind of killed off a few of the Russian units. And now maybe he can start building more shrines, getting that eco up. Has now just shipped the Daimyo. Which is not another wood shipment. It's not a Fortville shipment. So still, actually, I say that he's going to be able to do that, but that has just arrived. So maybe he wants to make some kind of push with it soon. Currently losing shrines, and Russia.
Saying that he's below in population. Obviously, these 4 centuries in military unit population sort of account for nothing at this point, and the Daimyo accounts for 4. But he now has some ashes out. He does have a stable out, and I don't actually think he needed to make that barracks, if I'm honest. He could have probably saved the wood, but made 2 shrines instead if he's going to send a Daimyo anyway. But there's a stable coming up as well, and there's not a huge amount of ashes there. There's only 3 ashes and the pikes. So this mass he has isn't that big, and Jerimuno's roughly equal population as well.
Very even at the moment.
Yeah, and maybe Jerimuno should start massing sort of Strelets, or if he can send 13 Strelets next. Or
Here we go. Oh dear.
He is pushing in.
Yeah,
there.
he's pushing.
But again, that blockhouse versus these Naginatas does dice damage. This doesn't represent a huge amount of siege. Actually, no, she delivers a decent siege, by mistake. But again, how does he push into this properly?
Well, he's got the Daimyo right, so he's got extra stats here compared to his opponent's Ruskits. So maybe this will go okay. The only trouble is there's not a huge amount of anti-cav. That Daimyo now at half life there. Cossacks fighting the Nagis, which isn't great. Would like to see those ashes in there. A couple of them going into hand combat just to sort of even that up a bit. But looks like actually Russia is really doing quite well. That blockhouse with all these muskets in the back firing into the shinobi. And now look, there's no more Nagis left. There's nothing stopping those remaining Cossacks from getting involved on top of the shinobi. But yeah, look, trained at the Daimyo, he can swing fights. And now all of a sudden the shinobi are not threatened by cavalry anymore, though there's not very many cavalry left. What they are threatened by, though, is quite a lot of musketeers. More ashes popping. And this, he's done it. There are a few dicey moments there, but reinforcements coming in at just the right moment, and is able to push Russia back. And now I think he's got what it takes to take down the blockhouse, although Jerimuno is going to have one final last-ditch attempt. He's got 5 Cossacks that he's trained. They're going to come in and tank they're going off in the wrong moment. Yeah, they do find the cavalry eventually and sort of scare them off the shinobis. And that Daimyo is coming in clutch. He's got a lot of HP, and he's going to need to be used to tank. Jerry realizes he has to ship Minutemen here in order to swing the fight. And it will be enough. It will swing the fight. What a scrappy couple of minutes. And there are 13 Strelets and 5 muskets. And that is going to be what he needs to deflect the Russian pressure. Japanese pressure.
Look at that massive army now has. I mean, Minutemen obviously overrepresenting slightly. But if you can get hold of that Daimyo, he's going to just destroy, isn't he? If that Daimyo goes down, it's only 130 HP. Where can he go? And he's just had to ship 2 chariots. So Russia basically bringing him the pain here, isn't he? The Explorer's going to go down, buying slightly extra time. There's a couple of Nagis, but against his mass, what does it do?
There's a lot of Russian stuff. Popping the Strelets and the Musks just at the right time. Ville's now coming out.
Daimyo 21 HP. Daimyo down.
Oh, he's down. Losing the stat bonus. What do you do from here? Russia's just in your base. Beep boop.
Beep 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 beep.
He's just pausing the game, taking some time to think about his position. Sometimes I think that would help me a lot in Age.
This is interesting. Jerimuno, I think, gets the win anyway. I don't know who gets the win here. If you drop.
Yeah, well, Jerry's ahead. I'm gonna argue.
It's admin decision, isn't it? So.
It is. I'm gonna predict what the admins would say though.
Oh, he's back.
Well, I guess we will never find out. But what we will find out is the actual outcome. Or not.
Or maybe not.
This is more exciting than the game. No, I'm joking. This game was quite fun to watch. There was a lot of like that fight in the center of the map was actually quite exciting.
But the Optimus doing Garger's trap now, isn't he? But,
Controversial.
but yeah, I mean,
If you can't beat them, drop them.
yeah. But 5 Nagy's coming, and there's not much anti-cav here.
No, but those Cossacks are and some clubs.
Yeah, clubs as well. I mean,
And this, what's he got in the TC? Yeah, there's 9 units in there. They're chucking out damage. I think Japan's still in this.
yeah, surprisingly. Oh. Hello?
Nah, just kidding. I am here.
I think Optimus has done it again. Oh, there you go again. But again, look at the shipments Japan has sent. He's only 80 shrine pop.
Yeah.
He's not on a good position here, is he at all? That coin mining base is going to run out relatively soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's one back there.
Well, he does have more eco. He's got 2 extra villages and all the potential to build a ton of shrines, right? Right? Yeah, it's not looking good. I would like to see Japan have more eco by now, but he spent all of his time defending, and that's exactly what Russia was trying to achieve, and has done it well. And Russia, I think if he can just keep this sort of up, his villagers just train for free. Well, they train a bit more quickly for free. Well, not for free then. They train more quickly. Yeah. I think what I'm saying is, Russia just wants to keep this going. Make it so Optimus never really has an opportunity to chuck down a bunch of shrines.
Yeah, I mean, he's just gonna look at the mass he's getting up again. He's now basically double the population of Optimus, and especially seeing as the Cossacks at this point, they're probably representing 1.5, 1.7 population or something, instead of being normal 1 population, which they are. But yeah, I mean, he can't push into the middle because there's 2 blockhouses now. He's going to end up being outscaled by Russia because Russia just outscales everyone in the colonial age, obviously.
Unless he can chuck down a lot of shrines, but I think it'll be challenging. He's still got a wood shipment. 600 wood still in his deck. He could send it again and then get some out, but yeah. Boyars. But mostly musketeer army, so not really affecting any of his units.
Yeah, and he's just going to mass and mass and mass. I mean, Japan can mass as well, but his mass is just going to be worse. He's actually 80 food and 40 coin, and they're not the best units, are they? They're good units, obviously, but without something like actually attack, they trade all right versus the musketeers, but they're just not as good, are they, in comparison? When you just look at the eco,
what do you think?
Eco is very cool.
All right, this is it. Optimus's last stand, perhaps. Trouble is here, chucking the Nagi into the Cossacks. Well, I know what's going to win there. There's more of them. Yeah, pulling off a few Nagi to go into hand combat. He's going to need the extra 3.5 multiplier against the Cav, but all the Nagi dropping. They're not very good against cavalry here. And because so many of those Ashes were pulled off to deal with the Cav, the firing squads of the Musketeers, the blue ones, it's just a lot more of them, dealing a lot more damage. And I think in general, just a lot more blue units, reinforcing Cossacks now entering the fray. And that does put an end to the Japanese defense. And now he can just go back to sieging shrines like he was before. There's nothing really Optimus can do about it. And this eco differential, the score numbers just going to get even more in favor of the blue player here. 600 coin twice in a row just to try and maintain production of, Nagis, of Ashes, of whatever he can. But yeah, there's some more Nagis. But Jerimuno now knocking on his door. Lots of musketeers threatening to destroy that stable and indeed everything else in this Belair's base.
Yeah, there you go. There's Nagi's going to go down. The Ashi's probably going to get shot down easily as well. I think he was trying to age. If you looked at how much he was stacking, he was just about to age. Team cavalry scouts coming in, so his Cossacks are pretty beefy units now. And he's probably just going to go down in circles into GC, but he just resigns.
And there it is. Optimus Prime does lose the game. Jerimuno catching back up. This is I think what Jerimuno. I think Jerimuno going to be feeling a bit better now.
Well, as I said, he did this yesterday, didn't he?
That is true. Yeah, you're right. Well, I'm going to let you talk about that. I need to go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back.
So yeah, he did this yesterday against his Daniel. The was a Liberty tournament, so he went he went 3-0 down and then basically went for 3 up and ended up winning. He can't do that now because he's lost 4 games at the start, but he can still win the last game here and pull back quite a couple of points because obviously each point you get is basically 2 points. If you were to lose it, you'd be 2 points behind the other player. Especially if you can get forward through. I mean, SKG is still going to be in a nice position, especially because of how Raphael won 6-1 yesterday. But yeah, I mean, it's Manchuria now, a map which is suited towards a lot of civs because it's a TP map. It also has those herdables, those yaks, which are nice for a decent amount of civs. And water. I mean, the water here isn't huge. It's okay. You can't really full flush beam on it. But maybe we'll see something like Portugal. Or, I mean, I think Joey can't play Japan. He can't. No, he can play Japan. Joey really can play Japan on this map. So maybe Joey goes into Japan now instead. It's a nice map for Japan indeed. And because of that, he can just end up taking the water with the fishing ships. And what can Optimus do? I mean, Optimus doesn't really have a huge amount of civs which counter Japan. He's taking Japan himself, which obviously would be a mirror which Joey doesn't really like. He can play Russia, and he can play India, but we'll just have to wait and see what Jerimuno picks. But yeah, I mean, Optimus obviously up now still, but as I said, Jerimuno clawing back victories, and SKG still ahead. SKG are going to be ahead after this by 2 points at least, and if this is in favor of Optimus, they're still going to be 4 points ahead. So, no, not in favor of Jerimuno, they're still going to be 4 points ahead going into the last 2 games. 2 of which are latest actually. We might as well do that now. We have For Justice versus Be Winner. So For Justice being Nil Ninjas. Oh no, Snow versus Wicked Cossack is first, which is a game which will actually be very exciting to watch. Wicked Cossack being someone who plays a bit unconventional, and Snow being one of the top 8 players for the New World Championships.
All right, I have returned.
Welcome back. Neither player has picked a civ.
Oh, I've not missed anything then. Wonderful.
Not really, no.
All right, Manchuria up next. The score is 4-2. Will Jerimuno make it 4-3? I think that's quite a respectable result, that. But, yeah, doing quite well after being, well, basically destroyed. You know, losing 4 games in a row is it's a big deal.
He got flattened, and then he's the one flattening now, isn't he? But yeah, as I said, Manchuria good for Japan, so maybe Germany will play Japan. But Japan is a civ which is quite easy to counter. So looks like Jerimuno.
Jerimuno wondering if he can play. Yeah, if he played
play
France
France.
in the very first game, then he can play France, which appears to be what he is looking to do.
So yeah, he's locked in France, and at the same time, Optimus Prime has to pick against it. But as I was saying, what does he have to pick against it? France being particularly good on this map because you have the native scouts, you can pick up all those yaks, which I thought were bison yesterday, but they're actually yaks. But
Yeah, I remember that.
um, I mean, maybe he could play Iroquois. Iroquois being quite strong against France, but obviously we don't have the ability to go around and get those yaks in the same regard, because they only have one explorer. So I don't know what he can pick here.
Yeah, he can't play Germany. Ottomans not meh.
Ottoman France we've seen before on this map.
India?
He can't play India.
Oh,
He played it game before, didn't he?
would be good.
Yeah,
though.
Ottoman France we've seen before on this map. It was Sompu Konku versus Kaiser in the Supremacy Cup 4 for the Grand Tour. And Sompu tried to go water and just lost. So maybe if he doesn't do that, he can win. I don't know. But hopefully Optimus picks relatively soon, because the next game was meant to be starting in an hour, and this game might last a while. Hopefully not.
I think we'll be fine. An hour is
One
perfectly
hour.
reasonable.
Yeah, it should be fine. But hopefully Optimus chooses. I mean, he's obviously just going into a deep thought now, but
The score is currently 4-2 to Optimus Prime. So he's already won, but you receive points for every game you play. So Jerimuno, the SKG, looking to get a few extra puntos on the board. France locked. Manchuria up next. It's now up to Optimus Prime. He can no longer play India. He can no longer play Germans. And I believe that's it. Other than that, it's free to pick. Oh, and he cannot play Japanese.
yeah, he can't play Japan. Other than that, he's free to pick. He can play Germany actually, Optimus.
Oh, he can. Oh, yes, that was before the reset.
No, he hasn't played. He hasn't played Germany. I don't think.
May I help you pick a civ? I see. It's like the little paperclip, you know, that pops up and says, I see you're trying to pick a civ. Oh, Riotcoke spiking again.
Oh, the host cancelled the game.
Oh. No, I think you just cancelled the game. You've got red ping and I'm still here.
What the fuck? What?
Yeah, I think you just, because you just
see.
dropped out the lobby.
Well, that's odd. That's never seen. Oh, there you go. I'm fixed. China fans that were mirrored. Me and you are both China fans, but China good on this map as well, because the Yaks obviously are good as China, because you can pick them up with the Disciple as well as the Explorer. So let's get into it. Hopefully Optimus readies up. You still there?
No, I'm gone.
Okay.
Jerimuno is ready.
He's
Indeed, everyone's
Optimus.
ready, except Optimus Prime. But China will be his civilization of choice here. Seems reasonable. Gets the extra scout, that disciple, that monk. They can look for the sheeps, or the bisons as you call them, but they're actually yaks.
You called them sheep, and
Yeah.
I call them bison and they're yaks.
I have. I'm not very good at animals. Clearly, my mother didn't read the book to me that goes, "What noise does the bison make?" I don't know what noise a bison actually does make, but I imagine it's something like that. But we are getting this underway, and with the livestock, China can task them to the villages too. So it seems like a pretty reasonable pick. There's also potential to. Oh, I've got a bug where my screen just scrolls to the left indefinitely. Oh, I fixed it. Well, that's good. Didn't want that. That wouldn't be very good at all. Welcome everybody to this final game in the series. The score is 4-2. Either Optimus makes it 5-2, or we can get a pretty respectable 4-3. Either way, though, Optimus has already won. Here he is in the bottom of the map in the color red. The Vanilla Ninja is going to be quite pleased with this performance, but can they get a final punto on the Bordeaux? We will have to see. But not going to open with villages. Well, we'll probably open with one. But going for that trading post up in the top here. And China has his disciples looking for, or the disciple looking for those monks. Similarly, Jerimuno, he is playing as the French, and his explorer, not going to be building a trading post. Okay, so going to skip that, actually. No market either, just going to play looking for these yaks. They are valuable, wants to get them, and just get up to the next stage a bit quicker and add in those sort of economic buildings a bit later on, it would seem. So going to skip on them for the time being. An interesting choice.
Actually, he's got a lot of yaks. He's gonna have 8.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He skipped his trading post, and his opponent did build one, which means he had like free reign over the map, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't a wood stop, so you wouldn't build a trading post anyway. It was a coin, not even a coin stop. I think it was just 100 wood. So Neo playing.
So didn't want to gather 200 wood from the trees.
Well, you don't gather 200 wood at once. You do it in transition.
Quite a lot of wood.
Instead. But yeah, I mean, France has a lot of yaks. I mean, they could put a livestock pen actually, which wouldn't be too bad. Honestly, especially if he finds the 9th yak, he might even find 10. He can still find 10. So if he ends up finding 10, he's going to be in an incredibly nice position. That's basically like, well, each yak goes to 400 food, so it's 4,000.
Pardon me?
Yeah, 4,000 food is basically not bad. He's going to find 85 wood. So honestly, I want to see him build a livestock pen there, especially when he gets his 9th yak. Oh.
Das is so laggy. Yeah, your Wi-Fi connector is not up to scratch, it would seem.
No. If it continues lagging, I'll just drop out and let you solo cast.
Yeah. Hopefully it will clear up, right? Like it's usually
normally
just
it does. You normally leave it like a minute and it clears up.
Or less than that. It's probably fine now, but we'll just let them sort of clear that up. Yeah, Jerimuno, he is going to get 85 wood, and that's going to be quite a nice treasure to find. But won't be using that until we get up to the next stage. It's not like something like food that will help him age up quicker. But will be useful for building that trading post. Northern refugees coming in, but only going to be worth 2 villages because it has only the 1 village and the 2 town centres. But yeah, let's talk about how this matchup sort of usually plays out. I think China, we often see them go up to the Fortress Age or indeed the Industrial Age. And I think France will be trying to make that harder to do and not letting them get away with that for free, trying to put on as much damage. But ultimately, I think China will eventually get there, and that's where they want to be playing the game. And then I think, so just to preface that.
France actually can play colonial on this. They can do like a must-cast timing, and it's not too bad against China because obviously China age 2. They just want to go straight for the Fortress Age. But if you can get that 1 village down, especially when they went for TP, you could do quite well. You could sort of destroy the village, and then they have no population space to send any of their shipments. And if you keep bunged in the town centre, unless they have a villager off on the side, they can't really actually build a village on time. And then you just clean them. So we'll have to wait and see what he does. German is keeping those yaks alive, and he is building a livestock pen. So
He is. Oh, this is cool. Look at all those yaks. There's so many of them. There's 9.
yeah, so that's what 3,600
That's a lot of food.
And it's double. Remember, a CDB collects double as fast from a hunt. So when these are all fattened, you basically will have double of the economy on food, which is quite cool.
Yeah, well,
But
it's not strictly true because there's an opportunity cost of the food that you would normally be gathering from a normal hunt. But yeah, I see your point.
Well, no, because it is like double, isn't it? Is if you're gathering from a hunt, it's half the speed of gathering from a yak. So it's double the speed.
Has a lot of food, that's for sure. But let's not get bogged down in the minutiae of exactly how quick it is. But 9 yaks on a pen is definitely worthwhile, and is now up to the colonial age, 400 wood on the floor there. So interestingly, managed to squeeze in a livestock pen, a market, placer mines, and a trading post. All before the colonial age, which is a lot of wood to be gathering in transition. So it's going to start stable, but I think it would be quite difficult for him to get out, a batch of 5 hussars. It could be quite challenging. We'll have to see how many he does get, but having gathered so much wood, I think that'll be a little bit more difficult than usual. He's going to go for, by the looks of it, sort of the cab semi, not going to go for that sort of colonial build. That's a 10th yak. Look at that, trotting in. Gonna have all fully maxed out livestock pen. That's really, really nice. But yeah, not going to go for that colonial build that Riot mentioned. Just going to make some cavalry, try and raid the Chinese as much as they can. They're not going to make any military. They're just going to send 700 gold and age up really, really fast. So try and harass those villagers best we can and stop them from building the wonder so that they age up quite slowly, I imagine is what Jerimuno is looking to do here. Question is, how well will he be able to do it? And of course, Optimus is playing China, so can utilize the villages which you can garrison in, and it's going to be a bit of a dance as to how much eco he has gathering without really any sort of defense. But there's the 700 coin, and I think we're going to see exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, and these yaks are starting to get eaten. I mean, he's missing 100 food in the yak, but I don't think he really minds. They're just so efficient when you actually eat them, so... But he's just going to get 5 or 6 huts out, and he's just going to harass. Oh, he only got 3 ups. But he's going to get this Explorer, which is basically a third of his shipment, or maybe even a fifth nowadays. Because it's 100 XP when he dies. And China's obviously going to age up, but France isn't going to be too far behind him, actually, really. Because... And they're going to have all those upgrades. He doesn't have steel traps in, which is slightly unusual. I mean, he's going to have the steel traps with 700 wood. And by the time China's up, especially if he's only going up with a couple of villages, he's going up in Porcelain Tower as well. So, I mean, France is going to go up roughly about the same time as him.
Yeah. The Hussars now coming back in. But there's not that many of them. As I said, he wasn't going to get out a batch of 5. And as a result, they're not really too threatening. Really nice building placements as well. The Wonder is quite close to the town centre, so he can quite easily pop those villages out and build it as soon as... Yeah, they just come back straight back out and get back on it. But trying his best with those 2 Hussars to keep those villages off it and keep that age up as slow as possible. Jerimuno coming in with Eco Theory and the second trading post there. So being a lot more economic, especially with these yaks, which are all now fully fattened. Look at them. There's a ton of food. And do you feel like he can get it? Maybe he thinks he can get away with Eco Theory because of the extra food boost, the extra sort of tempo he'll have off the yaks.
Yeah, exactly. And Eco Theory, it's interesting because it's a later game card, isn't it? And he's going to get all those yaks up, and he's aging. He's basically switched Eco Theory for 700 gold. Normally in this build order, you'd send 700 gold, wouldn't you, as France? And in a way, he's just sacrificing sort of the instant boost for a later boost, as you said. And those 2 Hussars have delayed the age up so much so that only a couple of villagers have been able to be on that Porcelain Tower the whole time. Thankfully, the batch comes out and it sort of stops the Hussars being there anymore. But the age up time is actually going to be exactly the same. Yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah, they hit up right on time. I feel though that Optimus, he didn't lose any villages. He got up at a reasonable time, and now I think he'll be okay. This is where China wants to be. We'll start seeing lots of units come out. I'm wondering though if Jerimuno's like extra food boost will be enough to sort of overpower what is the strength of that Chinese fast fortress, the eco theory, these cows here. Let's see how many units he can pump out. He's got a reasonable amount of population, it's up to 60 there, but it's going to be used up quite quickly once he gets a batch of 5 cav, that's 10 pop, 5 skirms, another 5, that's 15, plus a shipment. I see, 1,000 wood. So that he's going to need that if he wants to keep all of these villages working and being efficient with that eco theory, etc., etc. So, nice shipment. Quite a slow build this from Jerry.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a sort of a slow build from Optimus. He hasn't gone for the what you normally go for, the Confucian Academy. Actually, no, I think Tower's better anyway. But he's got some cavalry out. He's got 5 queers coming out. There you go. He's gonna get, if he gets caught here, that's gonna be nice, is it?
Yeah.
Those Redcoat's big, strong units. He's
They are
basically
very strong. Oh no, they are gonna get away though. They're still quite quick.
Yeah,
But the
he
China
lost
cav
2
can
there.
pursue.
Oh, you say that?
No, they're not going to get away. Oh no, this is not very good at all. These are quite expensive units being caught.
There you go. Yeah, he doesn't. You don't like seeing it. You don't like seeing a couple of. He does escape 1 at least, and by the looks of it, he might trade for a meteor hammer. If Optimus seems to be, I don't know what's happening there, but yeah, he gets 5 skirms caught.
Okay, not ideal. Oh, losing 5 cuirassiers. I noticed you've fallen into the trap of calling them queers, because it is kind of pronounced queerseer or something like that, which is just easier to shorten to queer. But
Yeah,
I just calling them queers because it's I think less
more
controversial to
PC.
someone that's not sure what you're actually talking about.
yeah. I'm not meaning to be offensive.
No,
But,
of course not. I mean, I know that. I'm just imagining someone tuning in and you're like, look at these queers coming up. It just seems a bit
Second
like.
TC coming down
Well,
as
is
well.
there any need for that? Not really. Second TC. Okay, he lost all those units. Maybe he's thinking, right, I have to take a big risk here and just slam down a ton of eco and get ahead somehow and hope he doesn't, like, punish me for this. It also is extra protection for those gold mine villages. I wonder if he's got... that would be really cool if he had, like, Colonial Militia in the deck and is building a second TC, but not the case.
Yeah. He's got quite a lot of iron flails here and meteor hammers, and he's already sent double-faced armor, which makes these units incredibly strong at resisting range damage, 0.4, and there's no goons on the field for Jerimuno. So, oh, that's interesting. 5% cavalry speed.
That's a really random number.
Well, it's 20% or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's on 0.3. So
Yeah,
it becomes
it's a
random
shame.
number.
There's no like upgrades in the arsenal that affect like ranged resist or melee resist. It seems like a shame that that's not the case.
Well, in like Age of Empires 2, you have like pierce armor, don't you? And
There's far too many types. In fact, pretty much every unit does a different type of damage. So it's yeah. Let's not get into that. It's very complicated. Lots of hidden bonuses and all sorts.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's now massing some goons, which is nice. He got the 5 goon shipment, and honestly, I don't think Jerimuno is in a bad position here. He's got that eco theory, so that eco is actually probably about equal. Actually, it's probably slightly in favour of Jerry actually at this point. But oh, that's not very good for Optimus getting those cavalry sniped down.
That's what he needs. Getting a few free pickups with those
And
dragoons.
the Chang Daos is just going to go down from the skirmishes. He's going to get
This
3 or
is what
4
he
Chang
needs.
Daos
He's catching back up. He lost a bunch of units for free, but maybe he can get a few pickups here. And looks like Optimus is noping out of there. And this is okay. He's still in the run, and he's even got more score. And now has a second trading TC. Like I think like France with his eco theory, with his strong economy, that's now got a second TC behind it. If he can keep this up, I think he's okay. And what happened before is now fine.
Yeah, and in a way, Optimus is sort of just posturing in his army near his base, and at the same time, the longer he gives Jerimuno, the bigger eco Jerimuno is going to get. Obviously, China's got those strong A3 shipments, but realistically, the only one he hasn't sent yet is the 10 arquebusiers. He might have just sent the Manchu, actually. I'm not 100% sure he might have done. which would have been nice. But no, France hasn't sent Falconets yet, and Falconets against its composition obviously aren't as nice because you have the meteor hammers, which do so much damage versus Falconets and stuff, and they have 5-inch, so they're hard to defend against. But still, if there's a couple of volleys on those Chang Daos and the Quang Pikemen, exactly, 2 Falconets coming out, these QSCs can just clean up completely.
This is quite exciting. He's managed to... I think he's okay. Let's see how this next fight goes. That's going to be very important.
He's got 2... he needs to push forward, or does he?
Not with 2 TCs. I think I'd like to just sit back and let them come to me. But he's got the cannons, but I don't know if it's enough to deal with all of that infantry. There's a lot of it there. And Chang Dao's really effective against those cuirassiers and the dragoons, which kind of need to stand their ground to protect the cannons. Having said that, though, all the Chang Dao just melting away to the skirmish of fire. There are quite a lot of China cav here in the back. The dragoons need to try and do their best to kill them down before the tank line, which is the cuirassiers, go down. But they are down now, and as a result, just get on top of those cannons, instantly annihilate them. And yes, the cav numbers are starting to dwindle, but look at them on top of those dragoons. They're having to kite away. Fight didn't go too well for Jerry, but to be fair, I don't think we could have expected it to. There was a lot of China stuff starting. I'd like to have seen him stay at home with his 2 TCs. Minutemen coming forward. GGWP, close bracket, close bracket, close bracket, close bracket. GGWP.
And, so yeah, 5-2 is the end.
Yeah, 5-2 is the overall series result.
Which, I mean, it's better than yesterday for Optimus' team, obviously. But SKG is still in the lead. They're still in the lead by 2 points, I believe. So it's not an awful result. If it ended up going 7-0 instead, it would have been pretty table flipping for the results of the class as a whole. But I think well played by both teams. Jerry maybe should have just stayed back in base, as you said, and sort of played over 2 TCs. But unfortunately, he didn't do that.
Yeah, a good series, some good games. Some quick games, but ultimately a 4-2 victory for the Nilla Ninjas. So Azamp going to be quite pleased about that. The SKG only picking up 2 points there. But that's the end of this series. But we do have another playoff coming up. In fact, I think 2 more series today.
Yeah, there is, just off the top of my head, Snow versus Wicked Cossack. Actually, should be now. But we've overran slightly, but that doesn't really matter. And we have For Justice versus Bewinner at 8 o'clock my time, which is 7 o'clock GMT. And they're going to be casted by Incog or Pool and Kaiser. So that should be quite a good cast to watch.
Yeah, so that's coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. Wicked Cossack, pardon me, against who?
Snow.
Okay. And I believe that will be casted by Kaiser Klein. And I'm not sure. I know Kaiser will be casting it, so I'd better get off the air so that he can launch up the stream. I will orchestrate that with him now. But stay tuned. That's coming up next. The stream will